Welcome to the No Practice Podcast, where we cover the only sport in the world where there is no practice. With your mini rod driving host, Adam Kester, Tyler Slaw, and Chase Richardson. Strap in for some debates on the world of pulling, exclusive special guests, and a whole lot of nonsense BS. The No Practice Podcast starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the No Practice Podcast. We are especially excited this evening for what I think is going to be our best episode to date, personally. Gentlemen, what do you think?
I think we're right on line, boys. Should be a good one.
Mr. Adam Kester, Chase Richardson joining us. Chase, how we feeling tonight?
I would say good to see you guys, but I just saw you a couple of days ago. We'll talk all about that here shortly, but shout out to all our fans. Once again, go to these events. The energy and the buzz is real. We love it. We love our fans. This grows every single episode, and it's all because of you guys. Once again, our battle cries, we're here to grow the greatest motorsport in the world, even if I got to do it with you two jackasses.
Right back at you.
I'm not going to be nice to you all tonight.
That's okay. That's okay. It's all going to even itself out here eventually.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, absolutely. We've got a action-packed show here. We're going to do a full recap on the 2024 MAC Winter Nationals, which was our first event with us three all together since doing this nonsense we call a podcast. After that, we're going to have Mr. Steve and Lane Bollinger on from the Money Pit pulling team.
With some groundbreaking news.
Groundbreaking news. Big announcement on behalf of that team. A little creation, per se. We'll leave
You do not want to miss it. If you don't know anything about pulling, but you like technology innovation, stay tuned because it is some badass stuff.
It's something I've never seen before. We'll just tease it before in that manner. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, this show's all about teasing shit today. I'm already twice. I'm jammed up. Go ahead.
Yes. And speaking of teasing things, if I may, we do this podcast every 2 weeks, every other Wednesday. And in 2 weeks from today, we are going to have on arguably one of the biggest social media motorsports trash talkers that puts asses in the seats at events. And we are talking about none other than the individual that just set the world record on a radial tire, Mr. Stevie Fast Jackson, in 2 weeks, gentlemen. That is going to be amazing.
Episode 14.
Awesome.
Episode 14. Mark your calendars, April 10th. We've had this one in the works for a while, but wanted to wait for till the timing is right. And with the events taking place at the end of this show, that I'm sure Tyler will get into. We didn't know this would be the best show for Stevie to make his appearance, but nonetheless, a household name in motorsports world. Believe it or not, he is a fan of tractor pulling, and off air, with having some candid conversations. Stevie's built a reputation and a name, obviously being a badass racer, but he likes to talk a little and chirp a little in the drag racing scene. So we've had very many conversations about tractor pulling versus drag racing, which one's tougher, which one's easier. So when he comes on episode 14, Stevie and his following are going to be put in their place about the debate of which one's tougher. Because my thing is, and I'll say it in 2 weeks, you put Stevie Fast in a mini rod, I'm not sure he'd come back for a second run, but we'll see how that goes. Excited to have him, though, and you'll be hearing a lot of promo and build up for this podcast. And for those of you who don't know this guy, Stevie Fast, I think next Tuesday – they have their own podcast. It's called the Shake and Bake Podcast. I strongly recommend to tune in and build up for the No Practice Podcast. They're probably the biggest podcast in drag racing, but we're the biggest in tractor pulling. So
that's right.
The worlds will collide, man.
Yes,
absolutely. Stevie Fast Jackson can, if you gave him anything to get down the track, he would get down the track fast. If you gave him a brick, he'd figure out how to make it fly down that track. He's probably one of the in my mind, one of the best pro mod racers out there, hands down. So, and that's a pretty big list of guys. So, excited to have him on there to see what kind of energy he brings.
Yes, undeniably the biggest shit talker, and that is my favorite trait about him, no question. So
we've talked about the Shelton group back, I think, episode 3 about, you can have all the money in the world with a pulling tractor, but you can't go out and instantly win because you can't practice in a sport like some guys do in drag racing. So definitely be some hot topics, and can't wait to have episode 14 with Mr. Stevie Fast. So and I know, Tyler, you're jumping up and down. You want to talk about what else we got in store for this show at the end.
Yes.
Podcast, we are here to spread information, but on top of that, you two, being Tyler and Adam, have kind of got off trajectory of what's important. But go ahead and just share.
Indeed. So the way we're going to round out this show, the three of us made a little wager per se for the event that we all took place at this past weekend. And the loser had to do what we'll call a Pocky one chip challenge. For those of you not familiar with it, it is an incredibly hot tortilla chip covered with Carolina Reaper, ghost pepper dust, whatever you call it. I next date it to Mr. Richardson. If you actually look in the top left of his screen there next to that little gold trophy, you can see it there hanging out, looking over Mr. Richardson. And there's been no foul play. Nothing's been tampered with. I personally sealed it and signed it with my signature to make sure Chase didn't mess with it. So that's how we'll be ending things today. Chase is going to eat the whole chip, and he's not going to drink any water or milk or anything for 2 minutes. For 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
That was not part of the negotiation. And did you share with the fans what the requirements were, like how you won and lost this bet? Because I want to make sure all the information is out there. So back up and tell them what the wager was, and then I'll reveal some information that I learned later.
So basically it was whoever does worse out of the three of us at this past weekend's event has to eat this chip. And Chase, unfortunately, how did you do this past weekend?
There was only one human being I beat, and it was neither of you all. And little did I know, I'm sometimes live under a rock, and I'm kind of oblivious to this chips shit until about, I don't know what time we get done pulling, about 7:30. About 7:30 Saturday night, it became well known to me that I need to look in what I got myself into because I have no idea what this is. But I really do put blame on this. And this, we didn't talk about this off air, but there's always trust amongst pullers when you leave your vehicle sitting somewhere. There's always a risk. Somebody worried about somebody messing with something mechanically and whatnot. We're a tight knit group here.
Yeah,
nobody would ever mess with anybody's vehicle. I would never say that. But what they will do, and for you fans that don't know, when we go through a tech inspection, more on that later. We have to get our fire suits and helmets inspected and make sure they're up to certifications, all safety protocols, not unusual. But I left my helmet in the seat of my tractor, thinking just like that tractor is like a vehicle, nobody's going to mess with it. Well, as I was putting my helmet on, I think there was two up before me. I put my headset on and I started I couldn't breathe. It was like I was coughing and sneezing, like, what the hell's going on here? Like somebody tampered with my helmet. Well, come to find out, I'm still trying to identify the suspect, but somebody got my head sock and lathered it in women's perfume or something. I cannot breathe.
Really?
That's not why I didn't do bad, but I feel like there should be an asterisk besides this because I was tampered with, and I'll call it a.
So you still haven't found out who was tampering with your head sock?
No, but I smelled like Victoria's Secret when I got done, and as a matter of fact, it took me a few minutes to digest what I was getting ready to do with this hot chip because it took me that long to get breathing normal again after this Victoria's Secret perfume. But anyway.
How do you know it was Victoria's Secret?
Whoever you are, I'll find you out there. And I'm not blaming the run on that, but just never – you can't trust pullers like some people say you can. I mean, there is tampering just like in some other avenues of this world. So just always keep your eyes peeled for who's around you.
How do you know that was Victoria's Secret? I want to know.
Well, it wasn't anything I've ever smelt. So
okay.
But anyway, we'll get to the chip thing. I'm sure it'll be brought up quite a bit in the show, and I'm a man of my word, so I will stick to it. So we'll get to that. But plenty more to talk about besides the last 2 minutes of the show. I think the next thing we got on the docket is just a total recap from the MAC Winter Nationals. And for those of you that weren't there or didn't tune in for the live stream, attendance was almost, I think, nearly doubled, or at least a third more than it has been years before.
The place was full.
By far the
pretty
biggest
full.
crowd. I was there. They told us drivers that there was a line of 1,000+ lining up to get in as it was starting. And obviously the kickoff with Craig Morgan was badass. He did the national anthem. We did a new release song. The energy in that building was a different type of energy than a farm machinery show. It's always a great environment. Guys, outside of the finishing orders, which we'll get to here later, what was y'all's takeaways from the event? And shout out to Mike Connie and his crew. Again, $100,000 was donated to a charitable cause, to a veteran. Forgive me for not knowing the exact name of the group, but basically veterans with injuries and lost limbs and so forth. They were expecting $50,000. They got $100,000. So if you don't know anything else about Mike Connie and Mac Trilla, know that that's what those guys are about. And again, hope that event is here for a long time. He mentioned hopefully making it multiple days, depending on attendance. So I think they're heading in the right direction. But
I think it was Operation Coming Home or something like that.
Yeah,
that's where they basically guys that have handicaps after coming back from war, and they really don't get back into society that well, or they get into their housing and it doesn't really work for them. Like the guy that was up on stage, I think he had some issues with he lost both of his legs and trying to get up and down steps in his house, and just it was not a very accessible house for him. So they ended up building him that Operation Coming Home built him a house. And Craig Morgan is a spokesperson for that group. He also is a veteran himself. He was an Army Ranger, jumped out of airplanes. So
I didn't know.
Pretty awesome. People didn't know about him.
Yeah, pretty awesome, man. I didn't get to touch base with him again. I think my mom got to talk to him for a short minute, but pretty awesome to have him come in singing a pretty patriotic song that everybody can kind of connect with, and then doing a great job on the rendition of the national anthem. I think they did good, and that probably, to me, was one of my favorite highlights, was just the opening ceremonies of it. But the poll overall, I thought, was a great success. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, for sure. It's cool to see that event grow more and more every single year, this being the third year only of it. And there's not too many events that can draw a crowd like that on just their third year. We all know that it takes time for these events to, nurture and grow over the years and, work the buzz up and get people talking about it. But what they've done there at the truck show is they've got kind of a captive audience with everybody there for the truck show. And I feel like that, has been key with getting a good crowd in there, and not just a good crowd, but probably a crowd that's a little bit different demographic than what we'll usually draw at a tractor pull.
Right.
I would say there's quite a few people, thousands, I would almost guarantee, that the truck show is probably the first and possibly only tractor pull they've ever gone to before,
Sure.
To sort of get some exposure like that was cool for sure.
Keep in mind what Mike said when he was on the podcast, the show's pretty well, the truck show itself pretty well wraps up midday on Saturday. Like Friday's a big day with all the truckers there. So if somehow, I'm not getting in their operational business, but if they can move that to a Friday with the bigger audience there, I think you could really pack the stands like a farm machinery show, especially the way the momentum's carried on. So
and from a sponsorship standpoint, I've been to these trade shows, I've been to numerous ones, and when you're there for 2, 3, 4 days at some of these shows, when the show's over on Saturday, you're loading up and going home. If you're working the booth and you've been there all week, if we can captivate those people and get them in there on Friday, where they're still going to be there on Saturday, I think it'll get more conversations about the entertainment value of our sport, because we have a good group of people. And the best thing about it was a totally different group of people. The energy in the crowd when somebody hits the sand pile, or just the excitement behind a good pass, is a lot different than what the truck show is. The whole vibe of the whole weekend is different at the truck show than it is the farm show. The exhibits are set up different. I mean, the biggest thing that I see is like the hallway that goes to Broadbent Arena, where they usually have like some food vendors and stuff in there. It's a little bit different at the truck show. There's not as much traffic, so it's a little bit harder to get people lured into Broadbent and see all the vehicles. But they kind of moved some other stuff around this year with the show trucks and everything. So as they're finding their home, I think they're strategically moving things around to maybe where we can make this thing a two-day event, or maybe even move it up a day. So I'm sure they'll keep working hard at it. Every year, I think it gets better. I'm just happy that all three of us were able to go and compete. You guys made it in. I kind of got in by the skin of my teeth because some people didn't want to show up. But
in is in.
Definitely an awesome event.
I may not be pulling again after this last 2 minutes of this show, so that could have been my farewell. And not to mention about the truck show, there's not as much red tape in terms of all the quote unquote BS, and we don't get emails from their lawyers when we're there in person. We're on that another show, but much more easier to work with and open-minded than that show that makes what we say, like $8 million. Yeah,
I don't know. The math was a little.
Let's not revisit the terrible math seminar that you put on. But
so speaking of the actual pulling event, Tyler mentioned that was the first time we've all actually competed. So we're gonna try a new segment out here. We kind of go through each person's run and backstage operator. You can pull up Adam's first and kind of talk about the good, the bad, the ugly.
Well, so as we go through, so when we come out of the drivers meeting, unlike different pulls where you go up to the trailer and there's a computerized number draw, they do it a little bit different here. So each competitor is given a box, and it's got a Mack trailer, nice stand-up trophy like what's there on Tyler's shelf. Each one of us receives one of those, and then we get our number. There's a random number in the box, and you just walk up and pick up a box, and what you get is what you get. So I actually was a little bit late. I was talking to Mike Connie about something I had, an idea I had, and I came down. There's 2 boxes left, and I picked number 4. So
speaking of late, you guys were both late to the drivers meeting. I think for the first time in pulling history, I'd just like to point out that at precisely 12 o'clock, which was the time the drivers meeting started, Jeff Hurt and I were the only 2 drivers up there at the drivers meeting. And I looked at Greg Randall and I said, Greg, what sort of sick world is this where Jeff Hurt and I are the only ones on time?
Tyler, this podcast is about growing the sport, but not talking about confidential drivers meetings. Drivers meetings are supposed to be private, so let's keep it lightweight.
Okay,
well,
sorry.
I think that drivers meeting may have been held at 1 o'clock, but some things got moved around. I think it really messed some people up.
You got to pay attention, Adam. So, Adam, if I were to have gone by the original email that got sent out,
never got an email. I never got a single email.
You got to stay up to date on these things. All right, sorry.
Yeah. So speaking of, Tyler, I mentioned about this, and we're going to go through and watch all of our runs here in a minute. But we're all getting a experience of all these fans and people that love the podcast. And shout out to you all. We love you too. But you had an interesting conversation with I think Mr. Greg Randall or a couple others who also are fans of the podcast and invited a couple other things. Would you mind getting into that and also share who Greg is for all our fans?
Greg Randall is basically the head of operations over at NTPA. Correct? Would you guys agree with that?
Sure.
Make sure I'm painting this in the correct light.
His name is his title.
And so he came up to me and said, "Oh yeah, I listen to the podcast. I love it." He said, "But there's times you guys talk about some things, and you don't have all the details and you're not totally informed." And I was like, "Oh, well, thanks for the kind words, but I'm like, I'm going to need an example on that." And he's like, "Well, I don't know if I got it." I was like, "Greg, you got to give me an example after you say that. Come on now." Very lighthearted. It was all good. And he said, when we were talking about the potential rule of the Grand National guys all pulling in a group together, and he was elaborating on details that weren't released to us. And so I just simply said to him, I'm like, well, all we did is talk on that with all the information we had at our disposal. I'm like, you can't hardly criticize us, for covering a topic with all the information at our disposal, and then you tell me we were uninformed. Once again, this is all lighthearted. And so where I'm going with this is I was like, Greg, if we have something like that comes up in the future, can we call you live on the podcast and get your input? And there was a brief hesitation, but he said, yes, you can. I'd be happy to do that. So we're not going to get into that tonight, but at some point going forward, we are going to have the live Greg Randall hotline. So kudos.
Just randomly in the middle, in the
Yes.
middle of conversation.
Yes, something's going to strike us. We're going to phone him up. And
Does
so
that
Greg,
does
every
that
other
include
Wednesday.
anybody else that works for NTPA? Maybe the technical director.
I mean, I don't know that Greg can speak on their behalf, but he spoke on his own behalf, and I give him credit for that because
Tyler has those guys on speed dial. We don't need to call them anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway,
so
we digress.
Is it fair to say that of all the segments we've introduced through, going on 13 episodes now, there's 2 segments where it's literally a cold call. It's unpredictable. It's the local establishment spotlight, which we haven't done in a while, where we spotlight local bars that are fans that competitors love. And then there's the Greg Randall hotline. So
there's the Greg Randall hotline.
And that's what makes this the greatest podcast in Pulling. So Greg Randall hotline, we'll introduce it. Probably not this show, but maybe Stevie Fasten will talk to him next show.
We're gonna have to bring it on eventually, and we'll challenge Mr. Jonathan Mears to match that offer as well.
Kudos to him.
Try to lock in a John Mears hotline too.
Yeah, we'll get John Miller.
Shout out to those guys.
Should be very I give him kudos because there might be some actually hard-hitting questions that they'll be on the spot to have to answer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So should we watch your runs now? What do you think?
Let's go through a backstage operator on each of our runs individually. I think Adam was first up because he was, what were you, 3rd or 4th?
I drew number 4. I think Tyler, would you draw number 5? You're right after me.
Yes, right.
And then Chase, what number were you? Like 10, 11?
11, same place I finished.
You were the only one that finished, I believe, in the same place you pulled. So that's fun.
Yeah. Horrible timing, too, by the way.
So as he brings these videos up, I'll just start with mine. Obviously, coming with a brand new tractor, my expectations were high. Pulled it across the sled. We got a little bit more weight than we normally had, so that made me feel good, and just didn't really know what to expect. So it was to me, I'm very, very happy with the way I ran. The track was a little bit tricky, I think. I think you guys could probably say the same, but the thing about our sport is the track may be tricky, but we all have to pull on it. Yeah. And
what is it you always say, Adam? It's not a bad track, or it's a bad combination.
Yeah. So Esden Lane told me one day, he says, Adam, there are no bad tracks, just bad setups. And I'm like, that's the most true statement I've ever heard. Somebody's got to win it, So the track was tricky, but it.
So for our audio only listeners, we just watched Adam's pass from the truck show in real speed and slow motion. Adam, what do you think?
Well, it's like I said, of them, we're all pretty happy with it. Obviously, the front end was a little bit heavy, which, that's a step in the right direction for me. But we had some hitch issues there at the beginning of the pull. I'd kind of done some setup here at the house. I thought I was right. Got there, started checking things. The hitch wasn't quite what I expected it to be. We had to make some changes. Ultimately, didn't get the hitch kind of the way we wanted it. But, overall, I'm very pleased with it. I didn't finish last.
That's all that matters.
Too bad.
I also didn't go there expecting, to do middle of the pack. I went there to win. So I'm very happy with the way it went. I got home. I also found that maybe my brakes were dragging a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit different.
Can't be
different. Right. I think that's the kind of way it went, the direction it went after I got home and kind of analyzed a few things. As far as the run went, man, as soon as you hit the throttle, you could just feel the tires kind of let loose. And usually they like to move forward right when you touch the throttle. It kind of spun for a little bit. So you're a little hesitant and you can't wait too long. So eventually you got to, push the throttle forward, maybe stab the brakes, ride the brakes, try to get the thing to take off. And we got that past that little first third of the track. The rest of it felt pretty good. Just didn't get the momentum early, but happy to keep the front end down and make a reasonably straight run. We have something to build off of, man. That's all we went there to do, is try to make a really good lap.
You finished
Yeah.
sixth.
I think I finished seventh.
First pass on a brand new tractor, I'd be pretty pleased with that.
Seventh out of the top 12 tractors in the world, as I would say, because
In
obviously
the United States for sure. There's
that
some
are
pretty
in
good
the
ones.
United States,
There's
but
some
I
pretty
mean,
good
like,
ones over in Europe. Shout out to our boys over
Yeah.
there. I mean, we
yeah,
can't hardly
the
claim
Bobcat
top 12
Jr.
in the world.
obviously is come from Europe, but definitely happy with how it went. So,
I'd trade you if you want.
well, let's
All right,
move on to Tyler's.
Here's my pass. It was a little uncomfortable with the new feet position, but coming off the line, didn't hook up right away, similar to a lot of people's, but eventually it took off, carried the front end, and that was good enough for a 5th place finish. You see some smoke there at the end. Some people thought maybe I hurt my motor. The reality behind that is, like a horse's ass, I didn't have the nuts quite tight on my oil pan, so there was some oil leakage going on there. I'd like to tell myself I torqued them and it was something to do with the silicone drying because it was wet when I torqued them, but I don't know about that. I'll just throw myself under the bus. I probably forgot that, but I'd rather have loose oil pan nuts than loose fuel lines, so I'll take that.
That's
there
right.
was a question from a
Yeah.
fan at the
Yeah, I
start.
see that in the comments. What happened at the beginning? For those of you that watched the live stream or were there in person, I got backed up to the sled. Chain I thought was tight. I was all prepared for the old green light, green flag. Here we go. And all of a sudden they told me to shut my tractor off, which was a bit of a bummer. That kind of messes with you, ices the kicker per se. I had been told that the chain was coming unhooked from the sled in some degree or manner. That's
Sounds
kind of
safe.
that's very second or third person. I mean, I didn't see it directly. I didn't talk to anybody that directly saw it, but yeah, it worked. I had my feet inside the chassis, as we see some people.
I got to ask, how uncomfortable is that? Because it looked like you're sitting at a dinner table while you're driving.
Chase, are you generally uncomfortable at a dinner table? Is that where you're going with that?
Well, I typically sit at the bar. I don't sit at the dinner table.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Depends whose house he's at.
To be quite honest, it was uncomfortable. But shout out to my main man Marvin that okayed our chassis and cleared us to pull. It was an interesting ride having my feet, instead of being outside the frame, they were kind of jammed in between my frame and transmission.
No, they weren't, Tyler. You're not supposed to say that. They were comfortably placed next to the bell housing.
Did you hit your brakes with your heels? Or you didn't have to?
I didn't have to hit my brakes to steer it, but like Adam said, when I came with the throttle, it wasn't really hooking up the way I wanted it to. It sounded like it was revving up pretty high, which I did confirm on the race pack. It's not high for Chase, but for me, we were at about 9,500 RPM. So I kind of eased into both brakes, leaving the line, and hooked it up a little bit and got off of them, and away we went. So, yeah, no problem. Chase, walk us through your path here.
Yeah. So as I'm choking on my lathered headstock at the start, back up for a second. Back up.
Oh, that's too
So
funny.
I'm fighting for air here. No, in all seriousness, like everyone, I had a chance to watch. Right there, the tractor gets pretty upset, and on a short track, especially, you don't have much room for error when you're taking off, and the thing get unhappy. Sometimes you can overcome that outdoor pulling, but on a 260-foot track, once it come right there, I was trying to get it under control, but then
it looked like you kind of backpedaled it a little bit to try to get it to hook up, and perhaps overhooked it. And then when you came with it, it was too late at that point.
Sure. Yeah. Like you guys said, when you're taking off like that, looking at the race pack, I did backpedal a bit and hit the brakes, but I overcompensated, didn't do a good job driving. And now I'm staring the face of a hot chip in the face. A few days later.
when did it actually hit you that like, I'll say, when I back up to the sled anymore, like, I put a video on Facebook and TikTok of my run from the pool, and you can see me in there. I grab the steering wheel and I pull on the steering wheel to make sure that I'm not going to be holding the steering wheel off the off the deal going down the track. So I checked that. And then every time now, ever since it's happened, I reach down there and grab that gear shifter and make sure I'm in forward, because the whole time I'm just thinking, Chase has got ammo on me if I do it again. So I always make sure it's in gear.
Like some rules in pulling, this has been influential on you being a better driver by putting in
Absolutely.
gear.
So when did it hit you that as soon as you got done running, obviously you go, well, maybe I beat Adam, maybe I didn't, or you probably knew you didn't.
To be honest, I'm wanting to beat everybody like we all do. So it wasn't really even like this hot chip was never. I told you guys a minute ago, I didn't even know what the hell this thing was until about 7:30, which is the time I'm pulling off the track. So honestly, when the tractor gets up and down like that, my mind is I just don't want to wad this thing up. So once, outside of getting my ass beat, it was like, well, at least I can drive off the track. And I drive off the track, get off around there. About the time I take my helmet off, my buddy Jeff Hurt in his Jeff Hurt fashion, because I said, good run, man, because he was in the lead at the time prior to the last tractor passing it up. And he said, boy, your ass is going to be on fire. And I was like, oh, that was the first time I realized it. So to be honest, as competitive as everyone is, there's no secrets that don't get through the cracks before or after a run. So Jeff was quick to notify me of what I had facing me to answer your question.
I was the one that got to notify Adam because we were pulling our tractors back, and he had already left Freedom Hall to bring his tractors out. And so he was riding back on his Gator, and he has just this look of anticipation in his eyes. And he's like,
hell yeah.
How far did Chase go? How far did Chase go? And as we're pulling by him, I went, frickin' 219. And he's like, yeah!
Literally, like, so here
Adam
we are.
Happier to hear that you went 219 than if he would have won the event.
I didn't even ask where'd I finish. I was wanting to know where Chase finished. So when you're pulling, they kind of loop you around there, and Jeff Hurt's tractor was sitting there, and then Gouza was behind him, and I was behind Gouza. We're kind of lined up there, and Jeff hasn't moved his tractor yet because, he's got his tow vehicle inside. He's getting ready to run again. He was kind of, didn't want to get the tow vehicle out without his other tractor running. So we're waiting, and as soon as the one tractor runs, I think it was maybe Theobald or something, as soon as he made a pass, they wanted us to get our shit out of there. So, you drag it up there, we drag it back to the trailer. I go back to the trailer. We got to blow it off. We're not going to leave it sitting outside. So we hurry up and push it in the trailer, and made things a little bit longer than we should have. But I come back, Toby had to leave. I come back on the Gator, and I see Tyler pulling out, and I'm like, is it over? Are we still running or whatever? I see Tyler. I'm like, what happened? How far did Chase go? And he's like, 219. And literally, I didn't give a shit where I finished, just as long as I beat him.
So speaking of finishing results, going into this event, there was a bit of banter and smack talk, I believe, from Mr. Richardson stating, whether or not we really thought it was fair that 5 PPL tractors got in and they only took 5 NTPA tractors and 2 invites. So just to peel through some results here, I just want to draw attention to the fact that the 2 invites being Ken Benny and the Bobcat, because neither one of them finished top 5 in either organization. They finished 9th and 1st, and congrats to Abby on that. However, to break down the 5 PPL tractors, those finished 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 10th. While the NTPA tractors finished 3rd, 7th, 8th, 11th, and 12th. And so if you were to add up all of their distances, the 5 PPL tractors outpulled the 5 NTPA tractors by a total of 56.1 feet. Wow. So as far as whether or not we think it was fair that they took 5 PPL tractors, Chase, I'll let the results speak for themselves.
Well, go ahead, Chase.
My friend, well done. That was very comparable to a PPL track.
The only thing I got to say is, nobody really was paying attention to it. So this is an NTPA sanctioned event, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And we pull up to the outside of Freedom Hall, and Christy Asher's standing outside, and her and John Mears obviously run PPL, and they're out there lining up vehicles. And we get pushed into Freedom Hall, and John Mears is running around down there getting everything sorted out. I just want to give kudos to them. That was not a PPL event, and those two people were very influential on getting everything organized and put in place. John, I think I saw John on like 4 different vehicles moving stuff around in like 2 minutes. Like, I just want to thank them for, that's not their event. They didn't have to be there. I think they got asked by a few people to be there, and I just want to thank them for what they did. They didn't have to help. They didn't have to do anything, but I think they were pretty influential on making sure things ran smoothly there.
They were a big part behind the scenes that people don't see.
Absolutely.
As we all know. So, yeah, definite shout out to them.
And shout out to everybody involved in making that event happen. I felt it ran smooth. It was fun to be a part of, and I feel like the fans had a good experience there. And speaking of a good fan experience, let's dive into the live stream action with a Full Pull Live and that little broadcast that went down of the event. I personally, for the first time for them doing it, I thought it went quite well. Mr. Jason Schultz and Mr. Ron Stone. Mr. Ron Stone's got a hot set of pipes on him. His voice is pretty nice. Kudos to those guys for what they did for the live stream. I enjoyed having announcer specific discussions based on what the live stream was, as opposed to the people that are actually at the event announcing the event. Seeing the replays and everything, I thought it went quite well. I enjoyed that they gave some people some shout outs back home. My nephew was overjoyed to hear his name mentioned on the live stream. So that was pretty cool. Adam, what'd you think of it?
Man, I'm going to say I was a pretty big critic. We're not employed by Full Pull. So we are just on this podcast as trying to build the sport. So I looked at it from the outside going, here's your guys' shot to make something of it or to drop the ball. And it started off with me with the quality of the video. I mean, the video feed was awesome. I thought it was very up to date with, stuff that you see, very high resolution. I like the camera angles. You got to remember, folks, this is the first time that they've done this, and I think they did an exceptional job. I love the replays. I love the leaderboard popping up on the screen. A little bit more interaction, a little bit more storytelling going on behind the scenes. And like Tyler said, when you're listening to the crowd announcer, they're trying to bring energy to the crowd. And if you're sitting at home, it's hard to relate to that when you're not there. So I like that they had the 2 announcers. Obviously, they have some things they need to work on and get straight. But overall, I think they did a really good job. I really enjoyed watching the playback when I got to see it. The price, I think, seems fair and it's affordable for people. So, all in all, I think they did a really good job, and can't wait to see what they really come up with here as we move on, and yes, the kind of production they can put out of it.
I agree. And for all of those out there that are probably going to throw Adam and I under the bus thinking that, we were, they're just saying that because of this. Nobody picks on Chase Richardson more than me and Adam Kester.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that crap. All right.
Right. I mean, we're not here to blow. We're not here to blow smoke up anybody's ass.
Yeah. You get on Facebook when this announcement was made, that they were media partners, and, people were acting like I couldn't even take a picture of my tractor at an event and post it on my Facebook. And that seemed just silly in hindsight. I think there was a lot of overreactions getting thrown around. There may be a couple of YouTubers at a pole trying to lower Chase's hitch or, slash one of his tires or something because they're not too happy with him.
There was some pretty
maybe we're
hate over it.
Maybe we're making him quiet talking about this.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of crazy. He was getting a lot of flack from it, and nothing had even been produced yet. They had a bunch on their shoulders for that, and you're on the biggest stage,
If it was no good, we'd say it was no good, but I'm sorry. I thought it was great. So
no, I just said, here was my point, and this is as blunt as it gets. If they produce something equal or lesser of NTPA, people are going to hang them for it. They're really going to go after them. They produced something, I think, that was far better, and it's going to grow and get better. Give them time. calm down about all the YouTubing and all that stuff. We're trying to make this sport better. I think we're on the way with it. We'll just see, how it goes. I mean, Chase, maybe you can just give us a blanket statement on what your input is, because you stayed very quiet from this whole standpoint of it, just and let action speak more than words. So what's your input on it?
I'm not quiet on this podcast, am I?
No.
Usually the opposite. This
Right.
is the first time we haven't had to shut you up on a topic. It's kind of ironic.
Look, I'm a co-founder of Full Pull. That's no secret. There's multiple people involved in this.
Multiple people.
And this thing's been in the works, for a number of months. And, it's the same thing as this podcast, same thing as everything. We want to elevate, and everyone wants to elevate and grow this sport. That there was a press release put out last Monday on both sides being NTPA and Full Pull, and there'll be other press releases coming. I'll just say that on the air, but the press release is really intended to make an announcement of this partnership and this new agreement that's taking place, and that there's going to be a new place to watch these live stream events, for fans and competitors and everyone out there, just informational. And everything else beyond that was really status quo outside of a group of probably 15 to 20 people specifically. And I have friends that are competitors, that I have friends of competitors, promoters, tech officials, media people that I've met in this sport that I love, and I mean this sincerely. Like I know this is not a us versus anybody scenario, but that group of people, because we want to work with everyone, and when a rising tide raises all boats, I think is the saying. And that group of people were affected by this. Not that they're running out of a job or going to be kicked to the curb or anything, but there are new protocols in place, and they were professionally reached out to and communicated this to, and let them know that, hey, this is coming prior to the announcement, but nothing's, more is to come, and there's just protocols in place now. And again, that's just a small group of people, and I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody at this point, because I respect everybody and what they do. But the one thing I have learned, and we don't get into politics in this show, or we try not to, minus the Billy Beer show. But
Classic.
I used to watch a lot of CNN.
Of course you did.
And CNBC back, pre-2020, but like I quit watching in 2020, but just because I don't trust what I see. And I've learned that sometimes on social media that can be the same thing, and everyone has the right to say whatever they want, however they want on their own platforms. But at the end of the day, this is all about growing the sport, and we want everyone pulling the same rope. And with time, we think all that's going to take care of itself. So appreciate y'all's feedback, and luckily, I had nothing to do with any of it, because if I did, it would look like my run that night, and we'd probably be talking about something else. But
I figured maybe you were going to say, I just had so much on my mind, and I was so worried about the Full Pull thing that it got me off schedule with my run, and that's why I ran bad.
No, the only thing I'm blaming on is that damn perfume you and your buddies. Oh no,
I know. I didn't do nothing, buddy. No, sir. No, sir. I didn't.
I'm not going to accuse anybody, because I did call Broadbent Arena and ask for video cameras. They had none there, but I'm pretty sure.
Can you imagine?
You know what's funny? It was not me.
One tractor.
I will say, Chase, there was a point in time last year where I may have snuck a bottle of Sex Panther over to your trailer and doused something with it, but I did not hit you.
It's made with bits of real Panther, so you know what's good.
I may or may not have just thrown out who I think did it, but enough of that news. Again,
yes. At the end of the day, you can't go to a sporting event and live stream it and take video of it and post it up and try to monetize it. So enough of that crap. We didn't want to not, talk about it, because it's obviously a big thing. But moving on.
Man, it was lighting up the internet.
Yeah. Again, everyone can still do what they've always done. There's just protocols in place.
Shout out to Jeff Guza, by the way, checking in, saying that Brian also pulled third and got third. So, Chase, you are not that special to finish in your pulling position. 2 people did it, and you did it worse. Moving on.
Jeff, was that you trying to get another? In case you just tuning in, I've been getting enough kicks between the legs. I appreciate you chiming in there, Jeff. Jeff, the Brian Goose's dad, who acts like he can, he doesn't know what's going on, or like I can't do this, I can't do that, but he's low key an assassin on the pulling track. But
oh yeah, they're like, we're just Wisconsin region pullers, and just fuck.
Yeah, and then they go over there and they.
Oh, we don't know what we're doing. We don't. Yeah.
No.
Jeff,
Yeah.
next time I see him, I'll kick him in the legs.
Yeah, then you show up at their trailer and they got this little concoction that they drink that'll make you take back shit you didn't even steal. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
they
potent.
take back things you didn't even steal. That's a good one. Yeah, they've been known to have some delicious beverages around.
Yeah,
Is it time, guys, to bring in our guests? Do you think?
I think it is.
Adam, tell us
so
who we're having on.
So, without further ado, I mean, our guests that are coming on, it's one of the very historic in modified pulling. They've been pulling Allison aircraft engines for numerous years, been supporting the unlimited and modified class, stepped into the light unlimited for a little bit, and now are customers of mine with some of my engines on some of their stuff. But without further ado, I want to introduce Steve Bollinger and his son Lane Bollinger of the Money Pit pulling team. Just historic guys in the modified class. How's it going, guys?
Quite the show you guys got going on there.
Good evening.
I'm going to make an announcement. You all are our 10th guest or 11th guest, guys. The other 10 people we've called out, we've had to beg and plead to get them on this show, and it took like 5 or 6 calls. Like, what do we got to do? I called Steve. He's like, "Oh, we've been waiting to do this all year."
Yeah, right.
Actually,
we had to twist it a little harder than that.
It was just the opposite. We really had to prod these guys. For those of you who don't know the Bollinger Gang, they're one of the funnest groups in all pulling. You probably don't realize that, but they're dear friends to. I know Adam and myself and Tyler. Anytime we're at a pull, we always want to have a drink with Steve and the crew. So, but when it comes to getting on public domains and talking on podcasts and diving in some information we're going to dive into, it took a lot of begging. So, Steve, a couple rules on the podcast. Rule number 1: did you have 6 drinks before you came on here?
Yep, we doubled down on you, buddy.
Oh shit, you got silos. Or is that
a 24?
Or is that a silo or is that a mixed drink?
This is mixed. This mixed drink.
Look like
so many
silo.
people are making tumblers nowadays to look like beers that you really don't know who's drinking what anymore.
That's it.
Right.
Quite a
Okay,
world.
rule number 2: if we ask any question anytime that you don't like, there's something called the Adam button. You can just push it. Mike Connie almost pushed it one time because Adam doesn't like to answer all questions. But feel free, either one of you, just refer to the Adam button. Any questions?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So, Adam, why don't you take them through? We went through all of our runs at the Mac Winter Nationals. These guys were there pulling in the modified class. Get a from their point of view.
So, yeah, Steve, why don't you just run us through? If you can see this video, why don't you just run us through your run here? Obviously, a 3-engine tractor, modified class, 3 against 4. Tell us what your thoughts were of the run.
Well, after being 5th hook, we could see it was going to be tricky getting out of the hole. So we took some weight off the front, tried to drive it. We knew we couldn't drive it too easy because you had to get the tires going to get hooked up. So it didn't feel good. Let me tell you.
Coming from the farm show where you maybe did the opposite of that, right? So you go to the farm show and you make the finals and you maybe get on it a little bit too hard out of the hole. So that's probably weighing on your mind a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I come down there, did a little different tune up, trying to figure out how to get out of the hole a little better. We're still learning the sled. It's a different sled that Vaughn's got, and we haven't quite figured it out, but we're getting there.
Right.
So
this is a topic we haven't talked about in this podcast probably much at all, but it's talked about a lot in the pulling community amongst not our class because we pull the same sled all the time, but for those of you who don't know, the Case IH red sled that you see at these NTPA events, it is different than any other sled that the Bauer, the Ironman crew has at events. And tell me if I'm wrong, the pan on it is longer. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's supposedly like 2 feet longer. You can.
Well, I guess for anybody who doesn't know, that red sled is an identical scaled up version of the mini rod sled. So I think in 2016 or 2017 or 18, I think Vaughn built a new sled for the mini rods, and it threw me for a loop. Still has been throwing me for a loop. I think we're slowly getting there with these new tires and stuff. But that red sled is a game changer when it comes to all the other classes. And I mean, right now I'm looking at the scenarios, and you were dominant at Louisville the last couple of years, and it's kind of throwing you a big curveball. I mean, what do you think that is so different about it?
Without telling us all your secrets.
Yeah,
No, dude.
I think it's mainly. I think we got to start moving more weight back. It's a little harder pulling out of the hole, and then when you get on a track that's a little tougher like that, I just don't think we had enough weight moved back to get our hole shot. So you got to get speed. But what was really funny, I mean, I talked to several guys. Our 3-engine tractors, I think it hurt us because we carry more weight and we're not moving enough weight back. Where the 4-engine guys carry much weight. And that's why, I gave them a little bit of advantage. We haven't still figured it out yet. So I'm gonna move
you're a smart puller. You're a smart puller. I think you, for all the years that you've been running, you'll figure it out here sooner than later.
So speaking of 3 and 4-engine tractors and weight, we all know that like the 3-engine tractors have a better chance of hanging with the 4-engine tractors if we run the true weight class. Much like you can probably run with 3-engine with screws, much like you've done in the unlimited class, if you run a true weight class. So by true weight class, Steve, elaborate on what we're talking about there.
You're putting me in a corner there. You know that.
Oh, come on, baby. Let's go for it. We're here. Let's talk about it. Come on.
It's just getting a little exaggerated at times,
Well, we all know what you mean by a little exaggerated. Do you want to dive into what you mean by that, or do you want me to get into the nitty-gritty of it?
Oh, I don't want to make any enemies.
I'll get into it. I don't care, Tyler. You can get into
Adam
it.
loves making enemies. Adam, tell us what we're talking about there when it comes to 3 motors versus 4, 3 motors versus 5. Give it to us.
It is. It's taking advantage the first couple of years, and then they kept giving a little bit more weight, and everybody knows it. It's not a secret
because there's
just part of the game, and
so we know it's not a secret, but there's people listening to this that literally have no clue whatsoever what we're talking about. Yeah. I mean, no clue. Steve, Adam, take it away.
It's coming in.
I don't think, this is just my opinion, if we were going to run our true weight, I think we'd all really struggle in the mini rod class making weight. Because, I think we've been pulling a little bit over for a few years. And then all of a sudden, like 2 years ago, it's like we got reeled in a little bit. We were really running a lot of weight on our mini rods, and I was doing fairly well back then. And then it seemed like when they skimped us down a little bit, it really threw me for a curveball. But I think as these scales work on a percentage, 2,000 pounds, our brake's not going to be as much. You go up to 8,000 pounds, you might be weighing 8,300 instead. Not saying that we are. We're just saying we're kind of throwing some speculation out there. And when you're trying to run a 3-engine tractor with screw blowers on it against 4 and 5 engines, it's definitely going to be hard to keep up. With the weight.
So what we're saying is a 3-engine tractor pulling against a 4-engine tractor. A 3-engine tractor has a bit of an advantage because they can have more movable weight placed on the front, keeping the tractor out of control or under control with a full hitch. However, when that 7,500 creeps up to maybe a true 7,600, 7,650, 7,700, all of a sudden we see that advantage start slipping away from these 3-engine tractors and falling towards the 4-engine tractors. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That's fair enough. All right.
Yeah, you're dead on. You know where it's all at.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all know where it's at, but we wanted to kind of shed some light on that. And
Steve, we forgot to tell you, bring your lawyer on with you to speak for you.
I got him right over here. You just don't see him.
Yeah, I wanted to go hard right out of the gate and see how you'd react to it.
That one breaks the ice, Tyler. That one breaks the ice.
Yes.
I don't get mad, Tyler. I just get even when you.
Yeah. I wanted to loosen you up a little bit.
Me on the spot.
Yeah,
But see,
so
I see this as his engine builder. I see it as a challenge because when you look at it, if you look at 4 engines at 45% over, they're making around 2,500 horse apiece. That's 10,000 horsepower. If you have 3 really good 14s on 3 engines and they're making 3,000, which is a lot of power, you're still 1,000 horsepower shy. But
And
I think with manipulation, the weight, movable weight and stuff, you can kind of sneak around them every now and then, or have an advantage on them, and that's kind of, that window's kind of closed a little bit now, as they say. So I see it as a challenge. I really would like to work with Steve. Hey, we need to find some more power and see if we can get up there and shake it out with these guys with the rules the way they are.
Gentlemen, Mr. Voorhees checking in here. He's saying on an Indiana certified scale, he weighed his tractor at 7,690 pounds after the Mac show and 7,750 after the farm show. Steve, what are you guys supposed to be weighing?
7,500.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well,
and for those that don't know, these scales are mobile that go event to event. I personally believe, depending on the weather conditions, sometimes affects those scales. Like I've always, with the mini rod, I can't say enough for the other class. With the mini rod, the hotter it is, the more screw up the scales seem to be. I don't have any data.
Humidity.
I don't have anything to back that up. It's just in my mind. Whenever it's hot as shit, it's like we're getting ready to take a bunch of weight off this thing. So they are very finicky, and whenever you're using something mobile, I just think it's hard to always be consistent.
Oh, it's got to be tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you pick it up, you set it back down. The concrete's not level. I mean, there's so many
Concrete. Some of these places don't even have concrete they're putting them on.
concrete. Yeah,
And-
for sure. Most of them don't.
If
And
you were
to-
to do it right, you have to certify the scales.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, about every time.
Right.
And to be clear, we're not criticizing the people that manage these scales. We're not claiming we could do a better job. We're not claiming it's intentional, but just to talk about why we used to kind of see those 3-engine tractors, in my opinion, be more competitive against the 4 and 5-engine tractors. I feel like there's a lot of people that don't know that that's kind of the case. So I just wanted to shed some light on that.
It would be kind of nice too. I mean, if that's where they want to be at 76 or 81 or 2, whatever, just make it that. At least we know where we're at. Yeah.
Right.
Cute.
Well, that
Cue
kind
them
of
a-
goes straight.
We all know you guys struggle even worse than us
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
mini rod class. I mean,
I was going to say,
50
cue them.
you guys.
They're going to adjust the scales now, and my fat ass is going to roll on the scales and be 30 pounds over, and I'm going to have Abby Leichner drive my tractor at the next event. So maybe
Makes a
I
big
should
difference.
maybe I should just keep my mouth shut or quit eating so much. One of those two. I don't know.
Tyler, when you did
think of
that
it,
test
Abby.
fit,
She's 100-pound lighter than a lot of us, and she's a good driver. So that's a big
Seriously.
advantage.
Yeah.
I was looking, Tyler. It looked like your fire suit was stretching a little bit there when you
Oh,
did
my
your little.
goodness.
Tyler, next time we're at an event and you don't make weight, I'm going to say, hey, remember that time in that podcast you ran your mouth, you jackass? No, in all seriousness, though, weight is very finicky. It's probably, I would say, I would be curious to get your all's opinion. The mini rod class and probably the unlimited class are the 2 classes that battle, or where a small throw out of weight really affects the class as much as anything. I'm sure light supers and some other, but it seems like there's always not drama, but just mini rods and unlimited are the 2 that really see the either the benefit or the harm from it, just depending on which way it goes. So, so the Bollinger team, obviously, pulling fans out there know the Money Pit is a household name, but your tractor is pretty interesting because it's, when I say your tractor, Money Pit, that Lane piloted last year in the unlimited class, it's been pretty versatile. So for those fans that don't know, I mean, in the unlimited class, you run 3 screw blowers with the same combination. But when you want to go pull modified pulling, which I think as of late it's only been the farm show and the truck show, you take off the entire screw blower and put 1471s on, if I'm not mistaken. Do you mind to take us through what all goes in that process from making an unlimited tractor to a modified tractor?
Well, Adam makes it pretty simple. I mean, of course, you change the blowers, but we have the intakes with the nozzles, everything. The fuel setup's built right into it, same fuel pump. So it's a matter of, we did it with Craig's tractor there 2 years ago, and Bowling Green. He ran the unlimited and the mod. So we can switch all 3 motors over with me and Trent and Craig in about 45 minutes. And we can either run unlimited for 3 or 3 1471s in the mod class. And
what about gear ratio? What does the gear ratio do? Can you get by running the same gear?
What gears do you run, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You already know, Chase. You know that. Me and your dad tell each other.
But seriously, do you have to change gears too when you do that?
Yeah, you go screw blowers. We'll go up 2 turns with the screw blowers. There's that much more power difference.
Yeah.
So you change the whole head, or you have a reduction box?
Nope, I usually change rear end in it. Craig, when we did it out there at Bowling Green, he had a underdrive box in. Is how we did it quick out there.
Right.
Gotcha.
We changed rear end out to do it.
Did he run the light unlimited too, or did he just run the unlimited in the mod?
Just the unlimited and the mod.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Ferry Brothers were, shout out to those guys. I think it was at Toma one year there where they ran the light unlimited, the modified, and the unlimited. And that looked like way too much work. I don't know if Ricky Rose has done it before or not. I know he's always switching back and forth, but
that's where Tim Engler comes in there, where he ran all 4 classes that year. Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
I still remember. He's one of my
The
idols.
reason why he's not pulling anymore is because he worked his ass
He
off for all
worked too
those.
hard.
yeah, that's the reason we don't have a multi-engine tractor anymore. After with my dad, him trying to run modified and unlimited for a while, and adding a motor and changing planetaries and switching out rear ends, is just like, oh my goodness, this is just way too much work. So
Yeah, you could be
kudos
like
to
the
all you
Europeans.
guys that
They
do
change, like Brett, when they do that stuff. Don't they change? They change the gearbox. Right in between the engines, they take the gearbox out, and I mean, it's like, holy shit.
That's an
So
epic
when I
amount
did
of
the
dedication.
unlimited and the unlimited, I had the same setup. All I did is change gearboxes, kept the same rear end in, and it was dead on.
Yeah, you guys set an Allison off.
Yep, in the old
Back in the
triple
day.
days. Yep, and had an underdrive box we did for the mod. Yep.
Right.
So speaking of, this, fans, feel free to shoot over questions too for Lane and Stephen. By the way, we're going in so much in content. Want to do some background here. So Steve is Lane's father. Steve, how long is your family been pulling, and how did you get into pulling? Did you mind to give me some background? Because I'm not even sure I really know.
Oh, wow. This goes way back. I was 10 years old. I went to a chicken fry over at my neighbor's, and that was the D Clerks, Charlie and Tom D Clerk. And they were running Allisons. Well, they really weren't running Allisons then. They were running a Minneapolis Moline G1000 Vista, and it was the world champion tractor forever. Well, they had their first Allison hanging from a rope in the shed when I was 10 years old over there. And I was just amazed with that thing hanging there off a rope. And 1974, they built the first single Allison, and that's when I started going with them. So I was hook, line, sinker since 74.
Awesome.
And we went from a single Allison to a twin Allison to 2 twin Allisons to a triple. It's been a story. It's been fun though. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So you still today run a single engine, right? How many tractors do you have?
Right now we got 3. Yeah,
Okay, so
we
you
used to
have
have
3.
4. We had to get rid of Warhawk. It went to Canada. We had R2 and my pit crew that went with me forever. John Gerhold, Jeff Brown, Eric Hubner. They still got their own. And so we still run 2 singles here in Illinois.
Yeah.
And have a really good competitive time.
And for those not aware, when we say the Allison, I mean, I did some very feeble research before we started this little interview. And the Allison first got put into a plane back in 1930. Allison was a division of General Motors, and they started developing this engine package when there was a demand for a 1,000 horse liquid cooled engine to put into fighter jets. Now, I want people listening to think about what vehicles looked like
air cooled
in 1930. And the fact that these engines that are still running today and producing gobs of horsepower were originally starting to be laid out in 1930. I was reading one of the most powerful factory variants of the Allison 12-cylinder was rated at 2,900 horsepower and rated for 1,000 hours of service life. And we're talking back in the 1940s. So back when people are driving around garbage vehicles that make next to no horsepower, there's a division of General Motors that's cranking out a 4-digit figure horsepower liquid cooled engine, good for 1,000 hours, just ready to roll. And they started slapping turbochargers, superchargers, you name it, on these things to compete with, lesser air densities at high altitudes in these fighter jets. And I mean, talk about necessity being the mother of invention when it comes to the Allison. How did you guys, I mean, are they even making parts for these things anymore? Like, the more you read about the Allison, the more intriguing it is.
They quit making the parts in the 50s. That's how long it's been on them. They made so when they came out with the P-82, the twin Mustang, they fired up and made another 600 engines just for the P-82. And it flew in the Korean War. And it was an auxiliary stage, and it was one hell of a plane. It still holds a record, I think, from coast to coast for a piston-powered plane.
That's nuts.
It's roller rockers. I mean, that's what's hard to believe. Everything in them every gear was hand ground. Everything, the roller rockers,
hollow crankshafts,
cranks are just like today.
Made out of better material, probably.
Was it Cadillac?
Cadillac crankshaft. That's a
Cadillac made the
crankshaft. Yep. Got Cadillac right on it.
So
really,
being that I'm an engine guy, I used to work at an automotive machine shop. The history of all this stuff is kind of really crazy to me, because here I am. I'm a young guy, 16, 17 years old. And I kind of knew a little bit was going on. My 7th grade history teacher / study hall teacher ran hydroplane boats powered by Allison aircraft engines. His name's Ed Cooper. He lives probably 5 miles from me. So Steve really knows Ed very well, and they've kind of worked together for numerous years. Well, here I am. I'm working in an automotive machine shop, and Ed Cooper brings in parts for an Allison engine. And these things, what do they have? They were leaded fuel, right? They ran on leaded fuel. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
150 octane, most of it.
Yeah. So they run on leaded fuel. We get these things, and now he's taking engines, which Steve can elaborate on this. Give a guesstimation of how many engines possibly Ed Cooper and yourself together may have owned or separated, however you want to put it.
Wow. I'd hate some of the boat racers went through. I know Miss Madison, the one year they blew up 25 of them one year.
Oh shit.
They got some new oil, and it didn't work out for them. They didn't figure it out till after the 25th motor. But
right.
We were down there, and there was blocks and cranks. I mean, it was a mess. But I've been through myself. I've built over 100 motors of the Allison,
Really?
And Cooper's done way more than that. I mean, they build them up 6 at a time. So they work for the Miss Madison team.
Yeah, so Cooper would come into my automotive machine shop, and he'd bring these parts, which he's cracking open engines from the 30s, right?
Yep.
So they have the nastiest shit on them. I mean, you can soak them in caustic and wash them and do whatever. I mean, the stuff that's on them. But I really started getting an interest into these cranks. He would bring pieces. He'd bring the cylinders, the halves of the engine blocks and all that stuff in. We'd clean all the stuff so he could go through and inspect and do what he did with them. But checking out and seeing the little Cadillac insignia on the crankshaft that looks like it was built in 2020, and it was built in the 30s. And this thing, we'd take them and clean them up. We'd take them to our crank guy and we'd check them. And if they were bent, the guy would try to straighten them. He had one bent over, I think, 7 or 9 inches trying to get the crankshaft to straighten. Imagine a crankshaft. What are those things? How long are the cranks, Steve? 4 foot?
They're 5 foot long. 4.5 foot long.
5 foot. Bent 9 inches trying to get just couldn't get it to straighten. And they're hollow, and then the way they're all set up, it's really crazy. But just like the material they're made out of and everything. But seeing those engines kind of as a young guy and starting to see how they work with the, you got a fork and then a knife rod with them. All the cylinders are symmetrical from each other, and just what the technology and the way that they were built. And then as I get older, I start realizing that Steve Bollinger and Ed Cooper are like best buddies in the whole world, and they've been like running engine parts back and forth. It was pretty amazing. I mean, you guys have worked together for numerous years.
Oh man, I think it's been since probably he never fixed his own cylinder bank, so we got hooked up because he knew Allison's back then, and I knew they had a pretty good supply of parts and stuff. So that's been back, 90, probably had to be 90, 91. And yeah, we've been good to work with. We're good buddies right now. I mean,
yeah, he came
last one going there. Not too many Allisons left tractors out there. So
yeah, he came up here the other day and he picked up a barrel of oil and he dropped off a bank, I guess for you to do, no, the boys brought one up and he was picking up that too. Yeah. And he says, man, I'm telling you right now, there's only one person I'd ever trust sending any of this stuff to, and that's Steve. He goes, I wouldn't even touch it. Steve knows exactly what he's doing with this. So you guys have been doing it right for a lot of years.
It's kind of funny, the circle that I've made, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Allison laying down back down there at your place.
You still have the Allisons,
Oh, I know.
Steve says the same thing about you too, Adam. There's only one person I trust of these MBR engines, and that's Adam Kester.
Well, when you got customers like Steve, you don't have to look at them very often, man. The things look like brand new all the time. He knows what he's doing.
I got a lot of good input, though.
Yeah,
Steve, that takes me. I'm a little dumb to the Allison world, to be honest, as probably a lot of people are. Obviously, they don't make these things no more. So how does a guy go about getting an Allison engine right now, and how do you maintain parts? Are you literally like a wheeler and dealer, like on freaking Tradio looking for Allison engines? Like, how does it work?
Today, they're about all gone. There's a few left out there, but let me tell you, in the 90s, late 80s, I was looking everywhere. I'd buy, sell, build motors, buy, sell parts. I had like 35 motors at one time.
Really?
But of course, it doesn't take long to eat it up when you start buying Hemis.
And there was a time, not to knock the Allison brand or anything, but where they were pretty a bargain buy, right?
They were. Yeah. I've been to Pasco, Washington. 4 of us flew out to Pasco, Washington, and we brought back 2 U-Hauls full. It was a boat racing team. We've been to Madison, Indiana. Me and Wayne Longnecker went together, and we bought his gooseneck and 4 semis to go pick up the stuff out of Miss Madison.
Jesus.
We had 128 cylinder banks.
Oh,
we had 80 some accessory housings. I mean, that was a trip there. There was like 10 or 12 of us that went on that with all that. And
so when you go in and buy something like that, how much of it's usable? Because obviously a lot of the stuff's decommissioned. I saw Cooper, he's got engines in crates, never opened.
A lot of those boat racers never fix cylinder banks. So that's the first thing that Longnecker learned to do. And he showed me, we built these homemade ovens. You go get an old stove, electric stove, and take the burners out and build your own case to heat these banks up to get the sleeves out of them. And there was very few of us that did all that. Everybody just got another engine out, and those days are pretty well gone. So you use every piece, the heads, the sleeves. I mean, we were scavenging the rods. So there was the rods we run right now. About the last 6,000 motors they made about 76,000 of them. They call it a G rod, and it's the last series. They made like 5 series of rods. They built more power. They build a better rod. They built more power. They build a better rod. And the last rod they made, it's the real deal. If you keep your fuel right, they're tough. So that's everything we got. So I scoured the country, bought every 54, 827, and 829. That's a part number. I'd never forget it. And bought every rod I could buy.
Of course.
And that's what we run today. Still running, and they've made lap after lap after lap.
So you mentioned
You're
buying this stuff.
going to pitch the rod out.
You mentioned buying this stuff in the 80s or 90s. When was the last time you made a big Allison purchase, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember the last one we did,
Big
Lane.
one? No. We were out in Arkansas.
Well, it's been a long time. That's been a long time. So I bought
literally,
out John Straussman
you
and probably
stockpile all this stuff, and for 20 plus years, 30 years, you're making a successful pulling operation out of it, is what I'm hearing.
Well, it used to be kind of profitable back in the day, but it's pretty tough to do anymore. It's when it was so cheap to get up and down the road, and I was building motors. I built a lot of motors. I sent motors to Italy. I was building motors everywhere all winter long, and that's how I made it work.
So did you pass how much, Lane, how much of this information you passed it down to you? Can you nut and bolt that whole thing? Can you go through, build it without Dad's oversight?
He's got the cylinder head part of it.
Cylinder head part, but
I give him the dirty work, grinding valves.
Oh boy. I mean, is it something that you think as you get older, that's something that you always have a touch to, you know, that you can continue on the legacy of being able to rebuild these things with all the things your dad's taught you? You think you can do it?
Oh yeah. I won't forget grinding valves. The Allison sucks grinding valves.
48 valves.
Yeah.
48 valves.
The Stellite seats are what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
just
stones and an aircraft gun.
yeah.
You know, they make some pretty neat machines. I got one over here in the shop. It costs about maybe $150,000, but I can buzz them seats really quick.
Yeah. You don't have
The worst thing of it is you got to take the sleeves out to use them in your machine.
That's right. That's right. You got to get down in there. That's right. I did all of that, the grinding the seats and stuff. It's not. Wears the stones out really fast, I'm sure.
Tell us what you mean by take the sleeves out to grind the seats for those of us mechanically oriented.
It's a jug assembly. So the
sleeves are attached to the heads.
Basically, you got to shrink them in. So I heat the heads up to like 350 degrees. Throw the sleeve
in your electric oven.
Yep, electric oven. And you'll get her to the 350. You pull it out of the freezer, and they drop in, and they shrink right up. Boom, they're in.
The very first time the first time that you did that, were you inside your house pulling tractor parts into your household oven, getting a stray look? No.
Unfortunately, Tyler, everything on those son of bitches is big, so you're gonna put them in
anything. It would have fit, we'd have done it, but
okay.
No, that was a Wayne Gordon. Back to him. He showed us how to build an oven. Just take electric burners and wire it all up and build a box and set it in there. And we got a thermometer off your cooker and put it on there. When it hit 350, you were good.
True innovation.
So Steve, and for Lane, because I know Lane's a young strapping lad, just recently married. He's still nice and thin and lightweight. Yeah. You ever thought about putting an Allison aircraft engine on a mini rod like they have in Europe? I think it would be awesome.
Worst thing of it is
over here.
Oh God! But the power now is. I make more with 3 screws, way more with 3 screws than I did with 3 Allisons. That's what's so sick.
No kidding.
I mean, it's amazing with the V8s, the power you can get out of them now.
How much does like when you were running hard with 3 Allisons, like what with the unlimited class, what was your power range in terms of horsepower, Steve?
Well, the only people that ever put them on the dyno was the Germans, the Kloss team, and they said 2,600 horse. But the other factor is we had 3,000 foot-pounds of torque. So the power, that made a difference still in your gear ratio in the end. But
with all the turbo technology, because you said, they have an accessory drive with a supercharger on it, correct? You think with the technology these days and building a new wheel for that supercharger would maybe up them a little bit more, or is it kind of
now they're using they made their own Pro Charger deal, and it's working really good for them.
Yeah, they seem like they turn RPMs with theirs. They're really up an octave.
They got the EFI on them with that Pro Charger deal, and it's working really good for them.
No,
right?
Isn't EFI allowed on the Allisons here in NTPA and the Unlimited?
Yes. Yep. I think so.
in certain classes.
Yep.
In the
With the
unlimited, though,
Allison, I think it is.
Yeah.
has anybody given that a try over here?
No, not yet.
No.
Nope.
Okay. So that carrot's just dangling there. Do you ever think you're going to go for it?
Well, I still don't know if it's enough though.
Yeah.
Man, that unlimited class takes a lot now, buddy. It's
Yeah.
3's not going to be enough right now. It's going to take 4. It's going to take like Chris Will and Benedict are doing to do
Do you
it.
guys collab at all with like the Green Monster Kloss team over in Europe? Everybody's seen their pictures. I feel like those guys, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm ignorant looking at their photos, but like, are they reverse engineering a lot of the parts and kind of remaking the parts and components?
Yeah, they're making their own rods. The only thing they don't make is the block and the crank. They make their own sleeves. They're making their own rod bearings, main bearings. Yeah, they got the access to a lot of extra stuff with Kloss on board.
They're fancy looking parts for sure. Have you guys gotten some stuff from them at all, or no?
We talked to them a little bit. They gave us they have a rod maker that's making the rods, and they gave the program to us for it. But it's not cheap. It's woo.
It's right?
$1,000 a rod plus. So
wow.
Yeah.
So Stephen Lane, have you guys watched the No Practice podcast by chance ever? Are you all fans? Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure you've been well educated on the rapid fire sessions. That's become a main staple of this show. And I think, we have some big news to break, and we're going to break it here shortly. But just to kind of build the excitement, light the mood a little bit, I think it's a good time to pass over to my colleague Tyler Slaw for a rapid fire segment. The Bollinger team special. So Tyler, the floor is yours.
The Bollinger team special. This is good.
That's right. All right. So rapid fire questions.
Take it through the rules, Tyler. Take it through the rules. Take it through the rules.
Yeah, I'm working on it, Chase. If you'd be quiet there, we're gonna have to mark Chase down for another injury.
I'm still a little nervous about the last 2 minutes of the show. I'm sorry.
You're not going to be. He's not going to be interrupting shit here in a little bit.
This guy will tell you to do something in your mid-sentence, and he'll just frickin' cut you off at the knees. All right. So anyway, we need a quick answer. It doesn't need to be the correct answer. We're going to be looking for an answer from each of you, and just roll through it fast. That's the main thing. There should be no pauses or hesitations. The first one I'm recycling from a previous bit, but it's probably the most common referenced question. 100-yard dash, RJ Simon versus Brandon. Who do each of you think would win?
Brandon.
RJ.
Oh, weekend at Bowling Green. Who would you rather have as a crew chief, Craig Corzine or Tim Engler?
Oh,
Craig.
I got to take Craig.
Don't blame you. Who would you trust more to pull the engine on your daily driver truck and put it back in and have it run? Bob Jostock or Craig Sage from SCS?
Bob Jostock.
Same here. Sorry, Craig.
Would you rather be half your height?
I like my Bob. Bob's my buddy. He's been my buddy for a long time.
I get it. I mean, you're not wrong. Would you rather be half your height or twice your weight?
Half my height.
Twice my height. That's a double-edged sword on that.
You're going twice your weight?
Twice my weight, I guess.
All right.
I'm already
there. Theoretically, your engines can last forever no matter how hard you run them, but the best you will ever finish is second place. Would you take it?
Do that again. Say that again.
You can run your engines as hard as you want, and they will never fall apart or break, theoretically. But the best you're ever going to finish at a pull is second place. Would you take it?
No.
No.
Nope.
No from both. Turkey or ham for Thanksgiving? Preferred meat?
Ham all day.
I agree.
Ham
turkey's
all day.
overrated. Who do you think would prepare a better homemade birthday cake, Marv Epperson or Larry Richwine?
Oh, Larry by far.
Yeah.
I don't know Marv that good, but Larry's has got to be something.
No, I agree with that one. Who do you think has more wins, Adam Bauer or all of us that are on the screen right now?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one. Adam Bauer.
Lane, what do you think?
We're talking just the mini rod class or all
No,
together?
combined wins.
Combined wins. Yeah, Adam Bauer's probably got us beat.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of vehicles. So
he does. He's got the advantage there. But then again, if you've got 3 tractors and in between all we've got, I think we've got him covered on vehicles, so we can't give him the advantage there. Will you guys ever run a 4-engine tractor with screws?
Talked about it today.
Okay, that's a maybe. Lane, what do you think? Is it going to happen or no?
Do you want it to happen, Lane? You're the rising star. Is it going to happen?
Do I want to? Yeah.
Okay.
Would you guys rather live 100 years ago or 100 years in the future?
100 years ago.
That's a good answer. What 2-wheel drive puller would you be least likely to be able to beat in a fist fight?
2-wheel drive puller. Holy shit.
Least likely? That's kind of hard for me.
Come on, boys. Rapid fire.
I think he ain't 2-wheel drive puller.
That's a tough one, though. You got to think a little bit on that one.
Come on, boys.
Oh.
Denny Horse.
No.
He's a mini rod.
He's a mini rod puller.
Least likely.
Shout out to Billy Beers.
You got to think of a big, badass 2-wheel drive puller. Which guy do you look at and you're like, man, I don't know if I could take him.
2-wheel drive.
Jack Kilmeyer? I mean, who we got?
There, Jack. There you go. Captain Jack in the 2-wheel drive. There you go.
Lane, who do you got? Who you got, Lane? Come on. Time to run it out. Rapid fire.
You're a lot smaller than me, so there's a lot more to pick from.
Yeah.
That's true.
No, I know. I'm trying to think of a good one now.
Are you saying
not working really good on that question? That's
I don't think he watches the 2-wheel drive class very often.
Feel free to help him out, fans.
Yeah, do you want to hit the Adam button or do you got one in mind?
Adam button.
Oh,
Adam
shit,
button?
somebody uses it.
All right.
I'll say Craig.
Craig? Okay,
Craig.
that's fair. Who would score better on an 8th grade geometry test, Ken Venny or Wayne Purser?
Oh, man, I like them both.
Purser.
Purser?
Only because
You're hitting the Adam button on the geometry question?
I'm not going to beat on either one of them.
Blurt out one.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
Okay.
Cheers to
Well
Bob
done.
Joe Stock and Craig Sage.
There you go. You like that one, didn't you, Chase?
I like them all.
I think
don't know
that
how
one
he
was
does
my
it.
favorite for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah,
how he does it.
absolutely.
Well done, Tyler, Steve, and Lane. Again, fans, got some questions, fire them away. We're close to 400 live viewers, which has been probably a record or right at a record. So this continues to grow. It's all about our guests. It's all about our fans, Steve and Lane. We've talked about some big news from your camp. And on this show, we like to unveil big news. And also, if there's any rule changes involved, we're happy to comment on those. We'll get to that shortly. But do you mind telling us about actually right over Steve's shoulder there, as you can see, there's as you can see, the Top Gun twin Allison, but it looks a little different. Lane or Steve, tell us what the makeover is there behind you.
Well, this all started back in 1985. Kenny and Tom Van Huysen from Morrison, Illinois, built. Rick Kipley helped them build this twin 871s on an Allison. And it's been 85 since they did this. But back in that day, it sounded good, but he had a 3-amp mag, a stock Allison mag. So every time he went out there, just bang, bang. Well, he leaned it down to where it rung because the mag wouldn't, with that much blower pressure, just put the fire out. So here about 6-7 years ago, I went up there and they gave me Rick Kipley built the intakes, the gearbox, the shafts, all the pulleys, all the stuff. And he let me take this setup, and it was kind of old school, and the bearings and the gearbox where it was old. You could see where they were burning up. So Craig Sage built all brand new gearboxes, shafts, all the stuff to put 2 871s on a Allison. So hopefully we're getting close now. We've had them both running, got them both mounted in a tractor. We don't know if it'll build the power. It sure sounds badass, but we still don't know if it'll make any power on the top end. But we're pretty excited about it. It's our last hurrah for a twin Allison. So
I'm not going to say much. Just the intimidation factor of that thing. It reminds me of the Billy Loftus stud mule with the engine sitting sideways, but this thing is way more badass. I mean,
I remember when Billy made it down at Chapel Hill, and that was badass when he had them hanging on there.
Yeah, I mean, they were sitting at about that angle, but this is it's a beast, man.
Yeah. Now, so for the people that aren't watching right now and the people that are going to listen to the audio only version of this, we're looking at a pulling vehicle with 2 Allison engines on it. And on each engine is 2 871 superchargers with 2 individual injector hats, presumably each one of those feeding 6 of the 12 corresponding cylinders of the engine. Like, that's just like a mad scientist, beautiful creation. Like, I can only imagine
from a distance, it looks like a 4-engine tractor.
It does, but like to have the beautiful sound of an Allison engine running mixed with the whine of a supercharger, that's something none of us are hardly familiar with. I mean, that's quite a creation, gentlemen.
No, I should have sent you the video of it when we had it running, dang it, but we didn't.
Send it to me still. We can add it to the feed.
I have the video on my phone of it running. The single one on the stand, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed there that, before you had the injector hats turned around, both facing forward. Are you planning to run it in this configuration with the injector hats facing
Brian
back?
Knox about the turning the hat around backwards when the blower wasn't made for it.
Yeah, they don't
work
very good.
Too much air up.
Yeah.
So we end up flipping it around.
Yeah, SSI actually did a really good job of devising a blower that would run backwards with the hat facing forwards, but all the entry, all the entry and everything is like perfect on them, like it would be facing the other direction. So.
Text me that video, Steve or Lane.
Okay,
we'll get that on the air here. So Lane, I can only imagine the amount of hours that. When did this project really start?
Video.
Steve, I'll text it to him.
4 years ago. You got it, Adam? Do you?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll send it to him.
Send it to him. Okay.
A long time ago. Too long.
4 or 5 years ago is when it all started. And
how many beers were consumed talking about this?
Thousands.
I still remember 1985 when Kenny Van Huysen, his first time he ever ran it, the first pull of the year was always Taylorville, Illinois, which is our hometown pull. And that thing pulled onto the scales and he fired it up. And I'm going, man, that's cool. And we always kept that in the back of the mind. And we were always trying to get upgraded, but that was way above. I mean, he was so far ahead of himself. If he had a good magneto back then to where he could fire that, he'd have kicked everybody's ass out.
Now, speaking of that, obviously in 1985, we can all attest, and probably say 2015 or so, the blower game really changed. In 1985, the blowers were pretty so-so. Probably a couple of interlead or little fields on there or something.
Yep.
So you've put, I think you purchased those from Wayne Purser. There's some Cabelcos.
Cabelco Supermans. Yep.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, an 871 is an extremely hard blower to resell. So obviously with you guys coming in here with this thing, you probably didn't want to run out there and buy just the latest, greatest 871s if this deal didn't work. Wayne had some stuff sitting around. I think they're pretty good blowers, though. Wayne always had really good running stuff. So coming from what you know now with the blown engines, how does that adapt over fuel-wise with the Allisons having 2? That's where I'm confused at.
We have no idea where we're at. We're just we're throwing it at the wall and wherever it sticks. But right now, I mean, I don't know. We went up we're running a 32-gallon pump on them right now. So we don't know if we're going to be rich.
Is that 30? So, okay, speaking from that, just speaking engine terms here, what is max RPM that you will run the engine?
We're going to be 4,500 range right in there. 4,500.
Okay, so 4,500 range. That means that fuel pump. Do you spin at engine speed or half the engine speed?
We are 0.864 of engine speed.
Okay, so that's why the pumps have to be so massive.
Right. Yep. Because our low end, if we didn't have a big pump, we wouldn't build any fuel pressure on the low end.
Zero fuel pressure. Yep. So I got you. Well, obviously I've seen the video. I think I sent it to the producer here that we're going to maybe get going on here. You guys have had it running. Looks like it throws a little fuel out of the pipes. It's idles like it should. Sounds good.
Oh, it's just.
But you have no idea what's going to happen when you open it up. No idea.
We have no idea. We're hoping it lights, and I see a little fuel come out the pipes. The first pass. That's what we're hoping for.
So, I mean, with this engine being the way it is there not a dyno that you could possibly put it on or is it?
Yeah, we could. We've
chassis dyno,
and we've never really pushed it. I think we're close enough. I'm hoping 3 or 4 hooks will get where we want to be at. So,
all right. Let's run this video here so we can hear the sound of
the audio there backstage.
There's me.
Lane, what are you doing there? Are you running the trigger to start the engine on the stand?
Yes.
Yeah, it engages the starter.
Okay.
You got to wind it up and then kind of engage it.
It's got a cable on it. Yeah.
So how many cubic inches are we talking here, gentlemen?
1710.
1,710 cubic inches.
Hey, we'll have to be quiet for a minute. Let them go full screen.
Okay, let's do it. I want to hear.
Back it up, Terry. Let's hear it from the get-go.
Yeah, I want to hear this Allison starting. There's no more beautiful sound. Let's go.
Snap, snap.
Come on. Give us the audio.
There. Almost
Give us the audio. Yeah.
Best podcast in Poland. Come on.
Yeah. Guys, I want to flip it. Oh, OJ says no audio. Bummer.
No audio.
Oh. He says give him a minute.
Give him a minute. All right.
Guys, I got to say that's outstanding. That's a beautiful creation. I would like to see, if you guys had the time, which nobody was actually going to do this, but like there's plenty of shops around, like engine shops that are like, we can tune anything. I'd love for you guys to have that thing in an enclosed trailer and you guys have a hidden camera and you walk in and you're like, yeah, I got kind of an engine I've been working on. It's got a supercharger on it. You guys think you can put a tune together for it? And you're like, yeah, man, we can handle anything here at our shop. We do all kinds of stuff. And you guys just roll out this tractor with 2 V12s with frickin' 4 superchargers on it. And you're like, all right, boys, tune her up. And you see some guy be like, I don't even know where to start.
And don't tear it up, right? Tune it and don't tear it up.
So that being said, have you ever seen that semi that's got something of the same nature in it? What is that? It's got 2 like massive V12 engines on it, or Rolls Royce maybe or something, and it's got some superchargers on it.
I think they're diesels, and they got them stacked on it.
Yeah,
on that semi.
Here we go.
Yeah, with the header pipes.
We got sound now.
Oh, let's see if we got sound. Let's hear those beautiful owls.
Here we go.
Oh,
here we go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's hear these puppies roar. Yeah.
Oh.
Have you guys like rolled this thing outside and felt? I mean, it sounds deep.
Oh yeah, it's I want to hear 2 of them running together. That's even gonna be.
How hard were you guys cheesing and just smiling ear to ear when that thing first fired up?
No kidding, Tyler. The first time we fired it, it ran like that. That's how close we were.
No,
really?
Barrel out. Yes.
Oh, no, that's how smart they are.
That's how lucky we got. I want to go say lucky.
So I'm seeing those pulley sizes are looking relatively close to 1-to-1, and you said that the engine RPMs is roughly 4,500, but that bottom pulley, that isn't crank level. So is that driving pulley for the supercharger double speed, or what are we looking at there?
It's double speed. Yep.
Wow, that was a lucky guess. I'm not going to lie.
To get up a little over double the speed because, well, we all know it's all about rotor speed. So
sure.
We had this. I called the Fowler on the Cabelcos, and he said, "Well, to be optimal, you need to be at this speed." So we just kind of figured out where we needed to be, and hopefully we're in the ballpark. So
the biggest thing will be fuel, right? Obviously,
Yep.
wanting to know if it's too lean initially, if there's not enough fuel at the hit and it gets lean and it pops. Now, that being said, is there a built-in burst panel on this manifold, or okay?
we put burst panels on it to hopefully, help save the intakes and the blowers and all that stuff. So originally they weren't on it, and they just break the studs and flip them off there, and they bolt them back on and go again. And
So he did that a lot, obviously.
oh yeah.
That is a
About
lot
every
more
practice
exciting.
He ran that summer. He was popping it.
So you guys, obviously the Allisons aren't naturally aspirated. Instead of the superchargers, they've got a centrifugal charger, a turbo that's shaft driven. I guess tell us
That's
about
all
that.
it is, a gear driven turbocharger.
Okay.
So
and what
we run a 8.1 supercharger. So they had different speeds for different planes for the supercharger.
of course.
They made a 748, an 8.1, an 8.8, and a 9.6, and it depended on the application of what the motor went in, and all that stuff is. I mean, it's like it's Stone Age. I mean, it is really. So we got an 8.1 charger we run on our singles in Illinois, and we build like 22 pound of boost with it. But our air temperature is 400 degrees all the time. So, yeah, it's terrible air, all of it. It's ox stage. We could build 700 degrees on intake. It's terrible. So we're losing so much horsepower there. So open with these, we get her down to 130, 40 degrees. We're going to gain that much horsepower back.
Oh
right.
yeah, that's going to be good stuff. So let's there's a picture
That's it.
back
You
in the
found
day.
it.
Oh, really?
Shout out to the one and only Dan Mayer, colleague
That's my man.
of the No Practice podcast. That is it right there.
That he's got it. That's Taylorville right there on the scales.
United States hot rod.
Leave it to Dan Mayer to just have that picture.
That's
Just
hard to
He's
believe.
amazing.
Dan Mayer would have that.
He's amazing. Now you're looking at the pulleys on this one; they looked more the same size. So,
yeah, we gave it a little bit more.
there you go. There you go. You give it a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't think those little fields could handle that kind of rotor speed. Do you think?
Yeah.
Those are probably straight rotor if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Steve, are there parts in that picture literally on that tractor now?
Yes, the intakes.
Yeah, the intakes, yeah.
Yep, that Kipley built. Yep.
That's freaking
Awesome.
cool.
So just to be clear for our new listeners and so forth, the Bollinger family, they have the three engine screw tractor. They run unlimited the last few years. Prior to that, they ran the 2-engine screw tractor. Prior to the rule change, the light unlimited. Top Gun, the tractor that's been modified here, has been a standard NTPA modified tractor with its traditional Allison look. So this new makeover, as we call it, this is going to be ran in a modified class. Is that clear?
That's what we're hoping.
So what do you mean by hoping? Can you elaborate?
It's 871, so we should fit in the mod class with it. And we could always run an ox stage, so we're hoping we can fit there.
Weight-wise, where are you going to be coming in? Weight-wise, how you coming in? Is Dad going to get to take it down the track the first time, or is Lane going to hit the stick?
I can't get anybody else to get behind the throttle of it here, so I think I'm going to.
You're going to be responsible for. I mean, I'll get behind it. I don't care.
I will sit on top of one of those motors.
You take that for the first pass? Yeah, I says So
Tyler would sit in between the two engines and grab just both them rails and
push the butterflies.
As long as your header pipes are SFI legal, he don't give a shit.
No.
So what we're hearing here, Steve, is that you're worried this tractor may not be legal, or it's technically not legal, or just the wording's not.
Well, we've never really brought it in front of the NTPA board, but with 4.8, we should be fine. Because we can run
871s. It's no different than what's in the class. I'm sure the blowers are spinning at the same speed that they should be per the rules. So that's all good. I mean, the biggest thing is if you go out there and let's say
we don't
put 30 foot on them.
Yeah. If the blowers are
like
still
you said,
up boost.
you're filling a big hole.
It is
1,610 cubic inches. I mean, theoretically,
1710.
maybe I got an idea. Maybe if the 4/8s don't work, maybe we put 4 screw blowers on it.
Well, that's what I bought my first 2 screw blowers for. I was going to put the screw blowers on.
Or you're just going to put a screw on one, right? Run
No,
on one
2
side,
screws on
2
one.
on one. Oh hell
Oh,
yeah!
we're not done yet. This is gonna be better.
And that's the year they came out with the rule you couldn't put screw blowers in the mod class.
Who
So
the hell's making these rules? These are dumb. I mean,
that's when your brother-in-law called me and said, "Let's build a
That's right.
twin light unlimited." So
they should have a line in the book that says, "Okay, no screw blowers in the modified class, but you can on an Allison."
but you got to remember though, I'm so inefficient compared to Hemi with an Allison.
Right.
We all know that. I mean, it's still unreal with that little V8, which you can. I mean, the power that comes out of those things these days.
And the parts are on the shelf. And hey,
It
Adam,
is.
I need these rods. You got them? Yep.
Well, Steve,
So-
with you being a fan of the No Practice podcast, we are an independent podcast. We do not represent any organization, but the organizations, when it comes to rules making, I think do listen to this podcast. So for all you rules makers out there, you know who you are. If this tractor is not allowed to run, it may not be good for your brand. So let's just make sure we make this happen. At least one.
Yeah.
At least let them win the first 5 or 6 pulls, then change the rules.
No, see, what they usually do is they usually let shit run about 10 years before they finally decide to do something to the rules, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Look at Tyler over there. He's
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This
Just trying to call Greg Randall. Call Greg Randall.
should I call Greg Randall and ask him if they'll make it legal?
Oh, shit.
This tractor, I feel like, fills a void that the fans want. I mean, we love our modified class and our unlimited class, but this brings a level of diversity that we don't have at our disposal right now. And I think it would be foolish for anyone involved to try to discourage this tractor from making its way to the track. There's going to be a crowd of people standing around that, checking it out.
Well, we always got blower overdrive, and it's already in the class, so
Yeah.
it shouldn't be any big deal.
Yeah, 4/8s are legal. 4/8s are legal. So
Yep.
I like it. I'm a big
So-
I
fan.
love it.
How do you?
Bill Voorhees says it will be legal. It will be legal. Bill knows best.
Did he?
Bill,
Okay.
Print that out. Carry it with you to a rules meeting and say this.
He's a
discussion is
shareholder.
already
He'll
over.
make sure it's going.
Richard Swank says call Greg. Should we?
Richard Swank also had a message down here earlier. Some girl's trying to hook up with him here on our podcast, so we'll just let that be. He's involved in lots of conversations around here. We're giving him maybe a little bit more time than he deserves, but
Chase,
Call-
do you want me to
call him.
call Greg Randall or not?
It's not. This isn't. I'm in here with 4 other guys. It ain't my call.
Well,
hey,
here's the
you gotta
deal.
watch out,
So-
Tyler. If they said this was the unlimited class, Chase would be getting them rules changed right now.
Yeah. Well, Richard
yeah.
Swank says call
Yeah,
Greg,
change
and
the
we like to listen to what Richard says because he knows.
I'll
best.
tell you what.
Lot
If this
of-
tractor go run in the unlimited class, there are going to be 2 badass Allisons. I'm here to tell you. We'll have
Yeah,
build
he's gonna
double the
start
horse-
selling my engines.
I'll be
It's funny.
perfectly honest. I would have called Greg already, but I have 3 Gregs saved in my phone, none of them with a last name, so I don't
Right.
want to call the wrong Greg. But
So let me. I guess let
Lane,
me
what do you
ask
think?
you-
Should we call Greg Randall, Lane, or not?
It
Well,
will-
I want to see you try calling. Call all 3 numbers and see which one it is.
Oh, I'm not doing that. There's no way.
yeah.
One of them is my ex's dad, so I don't want to call the wrong
Oh,
Greg.
Yeah, you don't want to do
that would
that.
be good.
Yeah. If Chase wants me to call Greg Randall, he
I'm
needs
out.
to text me his number.
Yeah.
I'm-
Yeah. I'll send you his number. I don't care.
Well, it's up to you
I'll
guys.
send
I'll
it-
call him.
I'm gonna send it to him right now.
He told me to call him if we get into this discussion, so I feel like we're only just doing our part.
I don't know, Tyler. It's 8:50. It's 9:50 in Ohio. He might be sleeping.
He'll be caught off guard so bad.
I'm sure
I
he
doubt
won't-
he's sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm sure he won't be answering.
Yes, call him.
Bill, if we call Rich Wine, we're calling the wrong organization, bud. I'm sorry.
Guys, he
Yeah,
told
let me
me
call Larry.
Greg Randall told me to call him if we run
Your
into.
call has been forwarded.
Greg, you can't do
What do you-
this. If you're waiting
Hang
for
on,
cold
we gotta leave
calls.
him. We gotta leave him a message. Yeah, Greg, it's Tyler here checking in with Adam Kester and Chase Richardson, and the Bollingers here, just kind of hashing out this whole dual Allison 4871s for the mod class. We had talked this past weekend about if we run into anything to just kind of give you a buzz on the podcast. So we were just going to kind of run this one by you and see what you thought of it. I'll be honest, I think it looks pretty cool. I think it'll fill a void that this class needs from a diversity standpoint, and we think you should do it.
Come
Feel
on,
free
Greg.
to give us a call back in the next 10 minutes if you get this, because we're probably going to be wrapping the show up shortly. But in all seriousness, give us a call. We want to hear your take. Thank you.
Hey, in the world we live in today, it's called inclusion, Tyler. You have to use the word inclusion.
Well, we tried, boys. We tried. We called Greg.
Well, you have the vote of support from the No Practice podcast to get this approved.
We were hoping to go to the first event, and then we'd figure out there at the first event. We had a better chance.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If they start coming up with rules for this shit, at least we can bash them every other week until we run this thing. So
Yeah.
That'll be all right.
So we're getting towards the finish line here. Thanks for allowing us to unveil this groundbreaking news. Can't wait to. I can imagine the amount of people will be tuned in to watch this thing run. True innovation, true badass, and nothing but the best. And not surprised that you guys are producing something like this. So full support. Can't wait to watch. When's the debut going to be? So I have it circled in the calendar.
We really don't know yet. We thought about if we get it all together and everything. We're just going to try to do it here in the state, here on a local event. That's what we're going to try to do. So, but no pressure.
Let me
You got to
know.
put on now. There's no pressure at all now. So,
Should we call Rich Wine and get his thoughts or no?
oh, Larry, I already know I'm in with Larry. Shit, he doesn't care.
For sure.
All right.
for
Oh,
sure.
wait a minute. Let's see if he'll answer.
Well, if you don't mind, we will break the news on the podcast. RJ Simon, or who we calling there?
Hi, Tyler.
Hey, Mr. Rich Wine, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, not bad for a fat guy in this price range. What's up?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm in the same boat. So, have you heard the news about the Bollingers with their twin Allison 4871 tractor?
No.
Oh, well, have we got a story for you? We've got them live on the podcast right now, which I should also lead with that you are live on the podcast right now. And
I should be careful of my language then.
shouldn't we all? We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. We got to stay politically correct. So we are checking out and debuting their modified pulling tractor with two Allison engines, each engine with two 871 superchargers on it. And it is a beauty. And the people want to know, Larry, is this going to be legal to run in PPL?
Is this two 871s in addition to the supercharger that's already on Allison?
Bollingers?
No.
Nope. This is the only means of forced induction.
So they've taken off the supercharger that came from Allison aircraft and was on the front of every one of them ever. They've taken that off and done away with it?
I'm getting nods of confirmation saying that is correct.
Nods?
Yes, they're agreeing with you, and nods up and down, not side to side. They're saying that they took off the original supercharger. We all know single stage of compression. We can't be staging it, of course. So
Right. Well, the fact that they were supercharged to begin with from the factory in the aircraft, I would think that would be legal. I mean, I'd have to do a little digging and research, but the beauty of where I work now is I won't say the rules are less defined, but I will say that they can be interpreted a couple ways. And as you well know, and everybody that's listening knows me, I try to be fair and treat everybody the same without just arriving at a decision and say no. But I really believe since it still is going to be supercharged like it was originally, just by a different means, I would like to see pictures. Have you got pictures up on the air? Should I turn on my Facebook?
Well, Larry, if you were watching our show like you should be, like everyone else is, this would all be old news to you. All right.
I was flipping through and I seen it, but I didn't stop.
I understand, Larry. I understand. We're not cool enough for you.
Viewers tonight, you're not one of them.
Oh yes, you're far cooler than I am. Just ask Chase. But do you watch Let's Grow Pulling every Monday night?
I don't catch everyone, but I catch quite a few of them.
Well, then that's what I'm going to say. I don't catch every one of those no practice podcasts, but Jesus, Pete. Well, let me tune in here real quick. Let me pull up.
Well, we're glad to hear that you're open to the concept, Larry. We tried calling Greg Randall right before you, and he didn't even answer his phone. So you get a point for answering your phone.
Well, here's the thing about Larry Richwine. If he's awake and the phone is anywhere in his vicinity, which it always is, I'd rather answer now than have to worry about calling you back.
That's fair. That's a good way to look at it. So you're gonna have
Larry,
to
not only do you need to stand on there and wait to see the pictures of the tractor and unveil it, you can maybe hang around on the podcast and watch Chase eat this fucking flaming hot chip he's about to devour.
Yeah, Chase is about to have a horrible night.
Yeah,
we got to watch this.
He was hoping you forgot.
The preview
The
thing.
show's over 2 hours. We got to cut it off, guys.
Oh yeah, we're getting close.
The Bollingers have.
I'm surprised you don't want to keep talking.
They've done a fantastic job of actually giving us such a distraction that for a brief moment Chase forgot that he had to endure that. So
he's sweating already.
Larry, I want to thank you for checking in and giving us the potential green light on this, and I guess hash that out with the powers that be and get back with the Bollinger crew and let them know if PPL is going to be the first one to green light this twin Allison 4 supercharged behemoth that just looks too radical to ignore and not let compete.
Well, have somebody text me a photo. I see you've got.
I'll send them to you, Larry.
Boys
Yeah. Adam's going to text you the pics, Larry. All right.
Adam's going to do it. Wow, what a guy!
Yeah, he's pretty versatile. He can multitask. So, all right. Well, sir, once again, thank you for answering your phone and for being a fan of what we got going here. So,
well, whatever you're doing it.
If you say so, sir. Thank you.
Love you, Larry. Thank you.
So how about that, guys? We got a potential green light there already.
What do you have that?
Is it ended 2 hours in?
We're getting close.
No, when
Eat that chip.
Yeah. So what that 2-minute timer is Chase is going to eat that chip, and then he has to go 2 minutes without eating or drinking ice cream or milk or anything like that. And then we're going to allow him to try to, quench his thirst with whatever he has at his disposal.
Tony Hawk went 5 minutes without water or milk. So, I mean, shit, that's Tony Hawk. He's old, Chase, young, spry.
About pulling, not skateboarders. We're not worried about what they do. So,
Chase, what's the hottest temperature wings you get when you go to Buffalo Wild Wings?
The hottest stuff I've ever ate in my life.
Chapel Hill chicken wings.
That's what I've told these guys. Rojo Slaw, and for you pulling fans that have never been in Chapel Hill, Tennessee, I think it's July 19th, 20th. Circle in your calendar. It's my favorite outdoor pull in the world, besides Farley, Iowa. But they don't have our class this year, so I hate that pull. But anyway, go to that pull. There's one of the guys there. His name's Rojo. Helps put this pull on, makes this coleslaw, and it's called Rojo Slaw. And it is the hottest thing I've ever ate in my life. So it can't be as bad as that. But to wrap this show up, we always like to ask a couple critical questions. We're coming up on 2 hours. Steve and Lane, if you could both change something in the sport of pulling to help grow it, expand it, or do whatever, Adam, you can take this question if you want.
No, God, you already got half of it out. Don't worry about it.
What would you change to help grow the sport? If you could change anything, both of you answer the question.
Grow the sport.
Grow the sport,
or just improve it overall,
Yeah,
just from a fan standpoint.
Well, I don't know.
Get sponsors, man. That's what it's all about. Is trying to get our word out there, like you guys are doing. That's the best thing for the sport. Getting the word out. There's a lot of people, boy, that's interested in it. I mean, so sponsorship, keeping everybody going. It still takes money to get everybody there. I don't care in the end. So it's sponsorship and getting the word out. And that's Chase. That's why you're doing what you're doing. Tyler, Adam, that's what it's all about, right?
Right.
I think I've heard some people talk about, entertaining too, during the poll and everything else. Entertainment as a whole. I mean, that's why we're doing what we're doing too, is to entertain people. We need to, keep moving on with that stuff. And I think what you guys
A little bit
doing?
better production on TV, a little bit more
Yeah.
entertainment value for people.
I think we're we're finally kind of getting where we're testing things out, figuring out what we need to do and everything. I think it's going in the right direction. Thanks to you guys and everybody else. So.
Well, thanks to you guys for coming on this podcast. I just got word this is our record live viewers. I think the information about the new production behind you there got viral. So kudos to you guys for coming on and helping us grow all this together. Again, I've never met a puller that doesn't want to grow pulling. Sometimes change is hard, and change, comes with adjustments. But at the end of the day, we're all, we all want the same thing.
One thing. Yep.
And it'd be nice if we could actually maybe do this for a side hustle or a side living. Last thing that I got, I know these Adam and Tyler probably have a couple things, and we're going to end the show. But what do you guys do for a living? We know, but you guys farm. Tell the pulling fans out there what the Bollinger team does and kind of your background away from pulling.
Corn, soybean here in Central Illinois, and I grew up on the farm, and that's my gig, man. I love it. I love farming. It was funner back in the older days. Everybody's getting bigger, and it's more competitive, more money you deal with, but I'm going to do it as long as I can here, and that's what it's all about.
How many acres do you guys farm?
Oh, we're in the 4,500 acres.
What about you, Lane? Are you filling those footsteps?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Those are going to be hard footsteps, but I went 4 years of college, and I didn't want to do anything else but come back to farm. So luckily, he gave me a job. So
Very
been
nice.
working on the farm since, and I love it. So doing this on the side as a second job, basically. So.
That'd be my question. We're all in the same boat. So Tyler and his dad are very close. Me and my dad are really close. Chase and his dad are close. You guys, every time I see you guys get along pretty good. Any times that you guys kind of maybe start butting heads a little bit, or are you guys pretty much hand in hand all the time, right? Like you guys work really well with each other.
It's all part of it.
Yeah.
Feel like some.
Yeah, we're two alike, no doubt.
Hard-headed.
That's exactly what I ran into with my dad. We were so similar that we loved each other to death. We questioned everything that came out of each other's mouth every time we said something.
Somewhere my dad is nodding right now.
He going, hey, I can back this trailer up. No, he's back there pointing, and he's always got to lead and direct. That's what dads do. But I'm glad to see that you guys have. You guys bring a crew with you in most of the pulls that you go to. I see
it's got
a lot of the guys come.
Years.
It has, but Bowling Green, I think you guys won the ring there at the Light Unlimited. You had a large majority of your family there and stuff. It's good to see that.
It's nice.
The family side of it still supports what you guys are doing.
Yep. That's what it's all about. Family and friends.
That's right. And a little AC/DC. There's always a little AC/DC coming out of that pit.
Oh, you know it, buddy.
Go ahead, Tyler.
The only question I have for you guys is at a poll, last question. Who do you want to take the win from if it's Saturday night at Bowling Green? You guys are last took in the class. Somebody's sitting in first. Of course, we all want to win, but it's always a little bit better when you get to take that win from a certain someone. It can be a pal. It can be a rival. I know we all love and respect each other in this sport, so don't smash that Adam button. We all know that there's somebody where it's like, that was a little bit sweeter taking that from them. Who is it?
I'm taking Adam on that one. I don't care.
Lane, give us an answer, Lane.
I gotta go with Adam T though. Like he was a points champ. I mean,
Adam Bauer. Adam
He's
Bauer.
taking Adam Bauer. Yeah, I'm taking Adam Button.
That's fair. I mean, Adam Bauer's kind of the man. So
He is.
a win from Adam Bauer.
Year before that, I probably would have said
Bill or Joe Eder.
Yeah, the dominant.
Eder, yep.
That was the most dominant.
Whoever's leading is who it feels good to take away
The
from.
top guy is always going to be the guy I want to beat. So.
All right,
boys. Well, we got a little debt to settle here amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting some chuckles. I hope you guys tune in here on Facebook or whatever you're watching in on. But me, Tyler, and Chase here are going to settle something out. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Steve, I love what you're doing. Always have. Allison's to me.
Well, you know your dad's he's my idol.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah,
so
I know it, but we got to keep those Allisons around pulling because it's something that I think brings the spectators in the seats. Get a little history.
Shout out to Mike Connie and the Winter Nationals, our first one too. I wanted to get that in too.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
great what he's doing there with that.
So thanks for coming on. If you guys got anybody you want to thank or anything you want to say, we appreciate having you guys on. It was awesome.
I just want to thank you guys and Chase. Thanks for getting me on here because it is fun. It's good what you guys are doing. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, maybe the last time we
It's been a
speak. So
pleasure having you.
it's been good knowing you, Steve.
Okay. I'll catch up with you.
Yeah, no, seriously, Steve Bollinger, one of the best pullers in all pulling, doesn't get enough credit for what he's done. And if you listen to this podcast, you can already tell the innovation in what this guy's done. Just from Allison to, he's pulled everything modified you can pull. So can't wait for this new project to go on the track. And I can only imagine the fanfare we'll have behind it. So appreciate you letting us announce that on this podcast. And hopefully this is not the last time I see you, but if it is, it's been real knowing
It won't be, bud. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
It's time, baby. The debt is about to be paid. Chase,
grab that
reach
little box
behind
back
you
here
and grab that box on the shelf as we go for a firm transition into Chase versus Chip. For those of you not aware, this is a tortilla chip covered in ghost pepper vodka spices. So I don't know where that came from. I once drank ghost pepper vodka, so that was squirreled away in my brain.
Okay.
I said ghost pepper vodka.
For those of you all that can see, I got this email. It says, Chase, do not open. What does it say?
Before on podcast.
Before on podcast, sign Tyler Slaw with his autograph on there. So,
and then I sealed it with clear tape. So Chase, once you open that box, open it on the screen. Chase, open it on the screen. We're gonna ensure no tampering with. Chase has a scissors here. Chase, a little higher, please.
You got a fucking pair of needle nose pliers? What is
pliers,
this?
That's all I got.
Needle nose. Sorry.
Okay. Excellent opening utensil. Chase, no foul play here. We're gonna need that box on the screen here. Okay.
This is wrong.
So Chase, inside you're gonna find a little triangle-shaped foil bag. That's it right there.
Is this a dog bag to puke in? No.
No,
open it up, see what it says.
You don't need any instructions. No, screw the box, Chase. Screw the paper. Let's keep this moving here. Chase, please get the foil package on screen, please. If you'd like to open that chip up, please, Chase. And if you'd like to pull the chip out of the package, this is to pay the debt between the three of us on who finished worst at the MAC Winter Nationals. Chase, if you would please take that tortilla chip, throw that in your mouth, and begin mulching on it. And then open your mouth when it's consumed. We'll get the 2-minute timer going. And after 2 minutes, you may drink milk, whatever you want. But please, Chase, please, the one rule is don't leave your camera. Because if you walk away, all of this is for nothing. We don't get to enjoy this moment with you. So above all else, no matter how bad this may get, please stay on camera for the good of the show.
Can I just take one bite?
No.
This
isn't Barstool Sports. One bite everybody knows the rules. Just shove it in and mulch it.
Shove it in. One bite.
Chew it.
Probably don't want to let it.
Yeah. By
Don't
the
even-
way, Chase, now that you've touched that with your bare hands, do not touch your face or your genitalia.
Yeah,
don't go to the bathroom. All right, so
Yep,
eat the
Chase,
whole
go
chip.
for it.
Ready?
All right.
Mow that thing down.
He's going for it. Go for it.
Oh boy.
Oh. Chase.
What's the first
How is it?
impression? You probably can't talk while you're chewing.
Okay, we're seeing his eyes dilate slightly, perhaps.
Tyler, can you give the fans a little you swallowing that? It's getting warm.
Chase,
what year was
how
that
is it?
chip
Speak
from?
to us. How
the
is it,
clock.
Chase?
Start the
Yeah,
clock.
the clock. Chase, how we doing?
Good.
Chase, speak to us. Is
You
it
gotta talk,
bad?
buddy?
Huh?
Tell us
Is
what
it
you're
bad?
thinking right now.
Chase, you seem
I'm good.
a little. Are you?
No, he's not.
Talk us through what's going on. Don't touch your face. Careful. Careful. Are you crying already? Your face is getting shiny, Chase. Speak to us.
Rojo slaw is worse.
Rojo slaw is worse?
Guys,
Rojo salt. Piece of cake.
Yeah. I'm emotional so much.
Your fucking armpits are sweating.
Chase, you're visibly sweating already.
Your face is sweating.
This is not cool.
Tell us what's happening. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face.
This is the last time I'm betting either one of you motherfuckers. Sorry, I just said on the air.
No.
Chase,
You're
tell
right.
us what's happening. Walk us through
18
it.
seconds.
It hurts when I talk.
Does it really?
Oh boy. Are you gonna puke?
Chase, how you doing?
Up?
I'm good. All right.
Is it
Chase,
gonna
you
come
took
up?
that like a man. Oh, he left. Don't leave
0
camera.
seconds. He saw the 0. He's gone.
He took that pretty well, I gotta admit.
Is he puking?
Chase, come back. We need you.
Oh, he's coughing up something.
Oh, that was an audible groan there. Chase, come back to the camera. The people want to see you.
I think as soon as
dear.
that son of a bitch hit 0, he was gone.
He handled that like a champ. Oh, he's back. How we doing, buddy?
I wouldn't drink beer.
Oh, I've heard carbonated products make it worse, sir. Oh, did you just throw up?
All right, guys.
No.
Chase, we need more
got
time.
10 minutes. We got 10 minutes.
Yeah, Chase, you can't leave us.
You got any milk?
I'm done, guys. I gotta go.
Dude,
if you're gonna go through this, you gotta stay on with us.
Yeah, because
the hard part's done.
Hard part's done. Do you have any milk? Do you have any milk?
Chase, get some milk.
Ice cream.
I'm gonna pay both of you motherfuckers back.
What does that mean?
I
Chase, where
didn't
are you
pick the
going?
challenge.
Chase, come back.
I hope that puke doesn't come out your nose.
Adam, do you feel a little bit bad?
I didn't pick this damn thing.
I kind of feel a little bit bad.
No, I do too, because you can see it in his eyes. He's hurting.
Yeah.
I think I may have earlier in the day, maybe.
All right, I didn't even wrap this up.
Convinced
No, man. Chase, if you're gonna go through this,
I can show up.
huh? Come on,
Wrap it
Chase.
up.
Couple more minutes.
You're all right, buddy.
You're gonna be miserable either way. We might as well get some content, brother. Yeah.
How far are you away from it?
Tell us what it feels like, Chase. Tell us what it feels like. No, careful.
Careful with
Chase,
your
tell
hands.
us what it feels like.
Feels like I'm gonna kill both of you next time I see you.
I didn't come up with this, bro. This was Tyler's deal. I just want. Hey,
seriously. Hey, let's talk
would you
about
run
next
into?
show in this.
Would you run into the? I only wanted you to back into the sled. Tyler wanted you to choke on Satan's.
Chase, go get some milk, buddy. Go get some milk.
You got to get some milk or some ice cream. No?
No. It's all right. Hey, look, episode 13, No Practice Podcast. I can't feel my tongue. It hurts to talk. I ain't no bitch, though. This is the baddest podcast at pulling. Tune in for episode 14, April 10th. Stevie Fast Jackson, show the graphic. It's been a great night, fans. We love you, but we got to go.
No,
Do we? Yeah,
You got a
no,
mouse
come
in
on,
your pocket?
Chase, hang on. This is so good.
OJ's not going to let us go.
I'm actually okay now.
You
Are
good?
you?
I think so.
Did you throw up?
No,
Yeah,
I just went and set my face under the faucet for a minute.
Oh.
You need milk, dude. I tried to tell you get
Hey,
ice
did you
cream
not
or
get
milk. You better get some marbles before you get the ice cream because when that comes out the bottom end, it's probably going to be a little warm, buddy.
I'm going to whoop both y'all's asses on the track.
Why are you looking
I'm
at
not
me?
losing either one of you motherfuckers again because I'm so mad right now about this. If I don't beat anybody, I'm beating you two motherfuckers.
Oh,
I've said
boy.
motherfucker like 10 times.
Chase, I gotta say, you took that like a champ, man. You took
did,
that whole
dude.
thing and just. Oh. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you. I'm proud of
Yeah.
you, Chase.
I wish
You'll
my
be
friend-
able to eat the hottest shit that you could ever imagine now after that. You know what's funny? And I will say this. I'm not saying that I wouldn't take that chip down and not do the same
I'll be
thing
right
he
back.
is right now. But there was one point in time that I went and got some hot wings and they burnt my face off. Like my mouth was completely on fire, just ridiculous. And ever since then, I've been able to handle pretty hot food, but
That's
I don't
bullshit.
know that
Chase,
would have been able to take that chip. I really don't.
I
I
think
was
we
getting
need it.
nervous.
We need an update if Rojo's slaw is still worse. Because I don't know if I saw him act like this in the cafeteria at Chapel Hill. Chase, how does this compare to Rojo's slaw on a scale of 1 to 10, please?
Why are we still on that? Why are we still on this show?
Chase, how does this compare to Rojo's slaw, please?
Only difference is I screwed up and grabbed my eyes. It's hard
What'd
not to
you do
wipe
that?
your eyes. My eyes burn, but it's good. You know,
Brother, you touched your eye? Don't do
Dude,
that.
I'm sorry. You're supposed to do
Your
a
eyes are
little bit of
watering.
research. Like literally, Tony Hawk ate this chip, and he had neoprene gloves on, like picking the chip out of the bag. Like me and Tyler went across this. Like we thought that maybe he may do some research on how bad this actually is to do.
Chase, I'm proud of you, buddy. You took that like a champ.
you've said
Good
it like
one.
20 times.
I'm so impressed. I thought you were trying to get off. Get out of it, I should say. Chase, do you want to sign us off?
Yeah, I
with your
did that
delicious breath?
5 minutes ago. No
Well-
Practice Podcast. We love you, fans. We'll never have this bet again, or I'll never lose this bet again. And special shout out to the Bollinger team. Episode 13. Remember, episode 14 will be the biggest one ever.
Who's coming on? Who's coming
Who
on?
is that again?
Who's coming on,
Who's
Chase?
this? Stevie Fast Jackson, the one and only.
What's he known for?
Right there, April 10th.
All right. We love you,
TJ
Chase.
Grozik. He says you're so mad right now.
Chase isn't
I'm
mad.
not mad. I'm not mad. I just won't get beat by you two fuckers again.
I didn't come up with this bet
I,
for the
I
15th
promise
time.
you I will not lose a bet to you two again.
I just
I'll
wanted
never
you to
do it
back
again.
into the sled. Would you have backed in the sled before doing this challenge?
I promise I will not lose a bet to you two again. I guarantee you that. I don't do guarantees on anything, but that will never happen again.
Hell, he could probably bet us $10,000. He won't take the bet now.
Yeah. No, but great show. I actually feel okay. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
You don't look okay, buddy. Your
No, you
eyes
look great.
are,
You look phenomenal.
your eyes look like demonic, like they're dilated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You good?
It's a good way to sober you up when you have a buzz.
Yeah, I'll bet. You
Yeah.
get pulled over. You think you're going to get a DUI? Pop the old Pocky one chip challenge. Smooth.
People really
sailing,
don't
good
want to
go.
watch this shit, guys. We could done this off air.
You know, I think there's a couple people that may find this enjoyable, but I'm not one of them.
Who would
No.
that be?
I don't know. Just probably the YouTubers.
The
Chase.
YouTubers that are just right after you all.
We did
all
this
the
for
time.
them. We did this for them, Chase. All right. Let's wrap it, shall we?
Yes, sir. Hey,
Yeah.
this has
third or
been a
fourth
great
time.
episode. Thanks again to the Bollingers for coming on and being our guest, unveiling that great news. Hey, and I just want to give Tyler, that was a good challenge. It did get me nervous as hell when I made my pass and you went by me. I got a little bit nervous, but and
I think
Chase, you just manhandled that chip. You
did.
really
I
did
think
do a good job.
We're going to have to retire this challenge. I don't think we can do it again.
If only I could drive a million, I ate that chip. You fuckers have been done.
That's true, but you didn't.
But you did.
Oh no, there's the
hey, what do they say, Chase? What do they say? If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll never lose a bet to you two again. Mark it down.
Okay.
Cheers, gentlemen, to another great show.
Good night.
Happy chips.
That's a wrap.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the No Practice Podcast.
Have a good one. Bye.
Stay tuned for the next episode, where we guarantee there still won't be any practice.
Bye-bye.